All right, welcome to the studio, guys. Back here on the B stream. We're going into our second Korean match of the day. It's going to be between TNL and Dignitas. TNL, of course, a team I'm very familiar with. They cast Dignitas in the EU regionals, and you yourself also, of course, in Europe expert, GroupB, a pro gamer of Europe for a long time. So this should be a really good cast, really good games as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, Wolf. And not only that, but many of the TNL players are former StarCraft 2 players. So
That's true.
I've played against many of them individually, and now 4 of them are here together to form Team TNL in what looks to be a real knuckle duster match here, TNL versus Dignitas.
It should be such a great match because when you look at how Korea, and I've been echoing this even since yesterday, Korea really respects Dignitas. And I think this is a great way for Dignitas to make a big mark on the Korean scene. Like the Koreans who are watching this stream right now, as they're all watching this stream, no doubt looking for how well is MVP, how well is MVP Black going to perform because they were the last match, and how well is TNL going to perform versus the world. And they respect Dignitas as well. If Dignitas beats them here, the respect is going to be lifted. And Dignitas will become more famous in Korea. They're here in Korea for the first time. I think that's really exciting for Dignitas as well.
Yeah, it's very exciting on your first time to Korea, as this is more or less the birthplace of esports as we know it. And Team Dignitas, they've been here for a few days now, and they have been getting their scrimming, their practice games in already against Team MVP Black, for instance. They're really trying to get a feel here for what it feels like to go up against the dreaded Korean mechanics.
That's right, and because when you look at drafting, there's so much to study from these two teams. They played a lot of matches recently, even in Power League they played. TNL's played through that tournament. They played through Super League. Most of those games in recent times on the current patch as well, so they have a lot to study about the drafting. Whereas Dignitas played in Europe, in Katowice, on a previous patch, so some of the drafts you studied there not as important, not as relevant anymore. So there's a lot to study from Korea. And I think Dignitas is going to come really well prepared. Their drafting was excellent in Katowice, especially towards the end of the tournament. They had some really cool bait picks they did. The Cho'Gall bait that happened in the finals as well was really intelligent. This team knows what they're doing when it comes to draft, and TNL, I have to feel like their draft in the last few matches they played has been pretty predictable. They're liking their Zeratul Zagara combos.
Yeah, Zeratul, Zagara, Malfurion often combined with that as well. And they have been pushed to the brink recently, as they've just played the Power League in Korea, a pretty decently sized tournament with a first place of $8,000. And they were playing against MVP Black there. So not really a team that you can sandbag against, like go easy against. So they have been pushed to the limit. All their drafts have been real, and it's just been less than a week ago.
Now let's take a closer look at these two teams. Before we get into this best of 3, enjoy this video.
I'm Bakery, and I'm the team captain for Team Dignitas from Europe.
Well, it makes me feel kind of unique, but I think it's just because I'm lucky. I got really good teammates everywhere I go.
I think MVP Black are definitely the favourites coming into the tournament, but I really think that we'll have a good matchup against them, and I think we can beat them.
Yes, of course I know that, and it's really an honor to be here playing with Korean players.
베이커리 선수를 꼭 만나서 장법에 대해서 이렇게 좀 배우고 싶어요.
I actually said a very similar thing in an interview for BlizzCon, where I said that I really wanted to play against Merryday and MVP Black. Sadly, that never happened, but I'm really happy that we can do it here instead. I actually think Merryday is a lot cuter than me, so.
I would like to visit a lot of things. Like Korea is for me like a dream, and to be here is like really, really good. Like I'm a big fan of K-pop, the culture. I know it's a country of esports. I watch a lot of drama, and I don't know, like it's really a dream. And thanks for everything.
I think C9 are a team that haven't really changed since BlizzCon last year. But all of the other teams here, they've really put a lot of work in to adapt and try and be the best. I don't think C9 will have made enough changes from how they performed at BlizzCon last year to keep up.
Well, EU meta is the best, so we will do it kind of easily.
In Dignitas, we've always come second, and in Katowice, we won. I really think that we can do the same here in Seoul.
우리 Dignitas 사랑해 주세요.
생각했어. 과연 우리가 갈 수 있을까라는 생각했었는데 정말 여기까지 온 것도 그냥 기적이라고 생각을 하고.
저 MVP의 이 위력 앞에 이렇게 무너져서는 안 되죠.
유리하다고 생각은 했지만 좀 일방적으로 끝났잖아요. 그래서 좀 많이 아쉽기도 하고 이번 대회가 좀 중요한 것 같아요. 한국 대표팀 한 팀으로 가서 4강 정도의 상대밖에 못 받았다는 거에 대해서 좀 많이 화났었어요. 좀 폭모하게 떨어진 감이 있어서 많이 아쉬웠던 것 같아요. 중국 쪽이나 유럽 쪽이 확실히 좀 잘하는 것 같아요. 만나고 싶은 팀을 굳이 찾자면은 저희한테 굴욕을 안겨줬던 신하인이 갚아줄게 많은 친구들이에요. 좀 방송만 안 하면은 충분히 이길 수 있을 것 같아요. 일단 한국에서 한다는 것 자체가 기분 좋고 응원을 많이 받으면 확실히 큰 힘이 될 것 같아요. 이번 대회에서 꼭 잘해야만 스폰서를 얻을 수 있기 때문에 저희한테 좋은 환경을 만들기 위해서라도 이번 브레인 챔피언십에서 좋은 성적 거둬야 될 것 같아요. 없죠. 축구 말고는 삼바 스타일? 뭐 키 큰 건 인정하겠는데 신은 인정 못할 것 같아요. 이번에 한국에 오셔서 팬분들한테 기가 많이 죽으시겠지만 열심히 하시고요. 승리는 저희가 가져가겠습니다. 저희 목표는 우승입니다.
A lot of history, a lot of story in these two teams going into this first global championship here in the spring season. After BlizzCon, you know, neither team made it to the finals. Dignitas respected by Korea, TNL, of course, actually getting knocked out by Cloud9, saying they want revenge, but they've got to go through these teams first. They have to get out of groups, and so does Cloud9, but we'll see how that goes a bit later.
Yeah, a lot of uncovered ambitions here as Team Dignitas is gunning for top 2 at least, it seems like. Having finished second before in Europe, but now winning it. Here's this team of extraordinary gentlemen, with Bakery perhaps the most well-known, active in the community, talk shows, and of course absolutely stunning Karazim play.
That's right, you know, he goes on the State of the Nexus with the Caleris over there in Europe. You know, he's a great support player. He's probably the most famous Karazim player in the world, I would say, even though we've seen great Karazim players, you know, pop up here and there. He's the one who's most known for his Divine Palms.
At least in the Western world, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, he has a lot of respect for Mary Day on the other side and on MVP Black, yeah?
Yeah, he really does. And they're both like great great players, both great Karazims. And Jaehyun, his kind of enemy support in a way, doesn't play a lot of Karazim at all. So we might see some interesting drafts here for TNL where they actually do try to play Karazim to take it away, or even maybe ban it in the draft.
It's so cool to see two teams playing the same game, but having such a different approach to it. We see a lot of Malfurion coming out here, a lot of Uther from Team TNL. Well, Team TNL. TNL.
Yeah.
Team No Limit.
That's right. Jaehyun loves his Malfurion. He's the only player who's consistently picking him up in Korea. We do see other teams, you know, throw him in every now and then, especially on Dragonshire and Sky Temple, but he is the Malfurion guy. He will pick Malfurion when you don't expect it. Of course, Dignitas has studied this. Like I said before, there's a ton of games to study of TNL recently, so Dignitas will be prepared for this. Crazy Moving is a great assassin as well. Never count out his Jaina. And Noblesse, he has made Muradin so powerful, and I think a lot of people have studied his Muradin and looked at it and said, oh, Muradin's stronger than even we thought before.
Yeah, absolutely a staple pick here who doesn't even require too much picking or counter-picking thoughts. Muradin, a top priority under any event. Lots of survivability, which means he can really get in your face and stay there and disrupt both the backline and the front line.
He also played Diablo versus My Insanity, so a different tank that we don't see very often. Maybe something that he chose because he wanted to hide that sort of play that he would normally do in that draft, or maybe he really just is confident on Diablo.
Well, to be fair, they also played Diablo in the second map against Team Hero in the recently finished Power League.
Yeah.
It was kind of a surprise pick, sneaking him in there in the last position, even while there were other warriors up, like even like ETC. Which is really quite surprising, as ETC is very highly prioritized by certain teams and certain regions.
Yeah, in this tournament specifically, he is very highly prioritized, the highest, even above Muradin in some cases. So we're going into Tomb of the Spider Queen as the first map. So this map is all about rotations and ganking, which is of course on our little star sheet over here, but ganking is super important, and early game is where you're going to get ahead.
It's funny, rotation is not highly prioritized, 1 out of 4 stars, but actually all you do is rotate on this map.
Yeah, I think what the Koreans are saying for that is like Merc rotation, which is not that important on this map.
Sure.
I guess that's what they mean.
Oh,
but we call ganking moving around like that a rotation.
Yeah, I see. There's not much like, oh, let's pressure with a Merc amp here and go somewhere else. It's easily cleaned up.
Yeah, because the map's so small. Now TNL will have first ban here on this first map. They haven't played this map yet in this tournament. And of course, Dignitas is 2-0 from Katowice.
So something TNL removes a lot in the first place so that they don't have to deal with that is Zul. There's 2 reasons for it. He's amazing at wave clear, and he also denies a lot of possibilities from your draft, like strong melee assassins, which they do like to run, Thrall, Greymane, Zeratul, and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's one option here. Another very dominant pick here is Zagara.
Yeah, and you know, they may not first ban her here because they want to use her, but with first pick, you don't necessarily have to grab that. You're not going to be able to get your Zeratul Zagara combo because you are first pick. You can only get 1 hero.
Sure.
They are going to take out Zul, and I think Dignitas banning Zagara here would be smart. You know, you don't have to worry again because of that combo yet, because you can only get 1 hero here first.
I mean, the thing is, like, there are few top priority picks, right? They are strong under certain conditions. Then there's a few heroes that define the way that the battleground is played. Zagara is one of them. So if you leave her up for the other team, and maybe they pick it up, you need to center your whole strategy around dealing with her.
Yeah, you absolutely do.
But you asked the question, can you take Zagara first pick solo? Usually you see her in the double pick.
Yeah.
And TNL doesn't want to do that here.
They're going to take Tassadar, which gives a ton of wave clear on this map. He can solo lane himself and clear the waves and grab those gems really easily. He's got so much escape, so he can easily go and grab those gems even if he's like losing a lane.
Yeah. Plus, when he turns on Mental Acuity or his Oracle, basically the whole map is revealed.
Yeah, it's so tiny.
It's such a small map. So Li Ming, will we see Zagara come out in second place here?
Yes,
there we go. Makes a lot of sense.
That's so smart, because if you take Tassadar, who's one of the counters to Zeratul on this map, I think it's really predictable that if they didn't take Zagara here, it'd be Zagara Zeratul locked in for TNL.
Sure.
Very smart draft here from Dignitas.
TNL can still do this, right, Wolf? I mean,
yeah.
They can still go for a Zeratul here. They've already got kind of a counter pick taken away for themselves in Tassadar. So Zeratul is a very strong option here.
Yeah, it could be like Murd and Zeratul here. You take Murden away. There's Murden picked up. Is one of the top warriors. TNL really favors him.
Another option is Greymane. He follows kind of the same path as Thrall and Zagara in the sense that he's extremely good at stopping gem turn-ins. TNL has also very highly prioritized Greymane, and on top of that, he's really great against Li Ming.
He really, really is, and they are going to take him. So good call there, Grubby. So much delay you can do. You can soak the lanes more, grab extra gems yourself while delaying just by spamming out those cocktails repeatedly.
It's a 7 seconds cooldown now, so you only need one buddy to sometimes spray in another ability to do the cancels.
Tyrande will be banned here by Dignitas to stop the double support we've seen from TNL so many times. And Johanna is going to be banned to weaken JPL's position here on Dignitas. What warriors are going to pick up? He's shown some really good stitches before, even on this map. But I think that with what we've seen already with Murden on the map, like I feel like Stitches is stronger if Murden is banned, but if he's picked, you can actually gank Stitches so many times because he has no escapes.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Johanna also falls under the same pattern as Zul. Excellent in wave clear, and in terms of frontliners, they take that spot in top 3, Zul, Johanna, and Leoric. But Leoric has a number of weaknesses, especially as a solo warrior. Wow! All I thought, Zeratul, even though, quote-unquote, he has a counter in Tassadar on the opponent team, maybe they want to take it away as well?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I did not expect to see that.
I'm going to call this secret weapon. Like, this is the surprise here in the draft that you cannot necessarily explain, but it's part of the special practice and preparation.
Yeah, something that will become clear as the rest of the draft comes on as to what they want to see, and as we see the early game pick and what talents they have, what they have planned with this. Now, they need to grab that warrior. They are going to put JPL on Stitches.
Excellent.
And JPL was, in my opinion, at Katowice, the best Stitches player we saw in Europe, bar none. Very good on the hooks. So this is not a weak hero for him.
And that says a lot with players like Alex the Progy and Bloomby also playing Stitches.
Yeah, BKB as well. I just felt like when I watched him, I thought his Stitches was the best. Now, looking at TNL, they have, of course, the option to grab a second support here.
So when you're looking at, do you give a second support to Tassadar, you see how much poke is there on the opponent's team. The more poke there is easily distributable by heroes like Greymane, Lunara, and Li Ming, the more you may think about a second support. So if we look at that, there isn't too much support, too much poke on Team Dignitas. They're more of a pick-off comp here, devouring Maw for an explosive team fight, Hook and Zeratul picking someone off. So I don't think they necessarily need a second one.
Yeah, that's true. And if they did, it would probably maybe be Uther, but they're going to take Rhaegar.
They're going to go with one anyway.
It's basically good for sustain. It's great for wave clear as well with his lightning shield.
Yeah. I think Rhaegar and Mouth, in terms of full supports, are most comfortable in Tomb of the Spider Queen because they got the good wave clear.
It's true.
And they take it away from Team Dignitas potentially. So what are they going to be going for?
Bakery on Kharazim? It seems too easy, right?
Yeah. It seems a shoe-in at this point.
And if that's the case, then when you look at this draft, it seems like Dignitas kind of won it in their own way. Like, they got everything they wanted in a sense. Yeah, they have a somewhat weak warrior player on Stitches, but I think if Bakery goes on Kharazim here, their comp makes sense. And
so let's say we expect Kharazim. What are the alternatives? Are they going to go for Morales against Greymane Jaina? They're quite bursty, and Morales heals a lot over time. It could be possible, but maybe Kharazim can do a little bit more in the team fight.
Yeah, that's true. He's of course going to be able to jump up in the front. They're going to take Kharazim. They waited a long time, which either means they wanted to make TNL think they weren't sure about it.
We've got a lot of other options.
Yeah, I think that may be what's going on here. Like, let's wait to lock this in. It's the obvious pick, but if we don't show it, then TNL might be going, oh, wow, maybe they were thinking about Morales. You know, what were they thinking? Maybe they wanted to go Malfurion. That's crazy. It doesn't make sense, but what are they thinking?
Really good point.
Mental games here, I think, going on.
Because, say for instance, you're like, oh, insta pick Kharazim. It's like, okay, that's the limit of their thinking, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're thinking on quite a simple level. Now maybe there's a little bit more respect, mystery, and there's some doubt. Okay, in the end, it is Kharazim like we expected.
Yeah, well, as the map gets loaded up and ready, everyone is getting into this. Come and check this stream out, guys. Get more people in here on the Blizzard stream and also on the Blizz Hero stream. I want both streams to have huge viewership. I want this game to grow and prosper. This is the the first big tournament of the year, the first global championship here in spring. So check it out. Everyone is in the lobby. Looks like Bakery is going to confirm something here, but once that is confirmed, we will be good to go. Who do you think has the better draft in this one then, Grubby? You got to ask.
So we've got Zagara with lots of vision on the side of Dignitas, which, Zagara and Stitches pair up so well because it makes it more easy to track the opponent's movements with a hook. So that is a pretty strong suit here. We've got the favorite support here into Bakery's hands, but I kind of like the solidity of the right side team.
Yeah.
Greymane is such a strong hero too.
They have great wave clear, they have good poke. Pastor and Greymane can both solo lane if they need to, and they also have Muradin, and they're going to be looking for picks, I think, on JPL repeatedly in the early game. They want to get ahead by ganking him, killing him over and over again because he doesn't have escapes. So JPL, who wants to normally be the tank who's up at the front, blocking, is actually going to have to be more careful than usual, and I think that weakens your position in the early game, especially on this map.
So to counteract that, presumably Wooby on Zeratul is going to have to scout out the enemy's movements so well, while being careful not to get revealed and ganked due to Tassadar's Oracle ability.
That's absolutely right. Well, Grubby, it looks like we're ready to jump into game number one here. Dignitas versus TNL here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Let's jump into game number one. Here we are, Dignitas in blue. On the left side, Bakery on Kharazim, Snitch on Zagara, Mena is going to be on Li Ming, Bubby is going to be on Zeratul, and JPL, of course, on Stitches. And for TNL, presumably we're going to have Crazy moving on Jaina, but he could also be on Greymane. We'll have to wait and see if they jump back over there and show us. Crazy moving will be on Jaina. It's going to be Jaehyun, of course, on Rhaegar. Sniper will be playing Greymane, and Noblesse on Muradin, and SC on Tassadar. So that's everything you'd expect.
So if I look at the two drafts, I really like the TNL draft for being easier to play. Of course, nothing is easy at this level, but like if they play with a few mistakes each, maybe because of nerfs, I feel like TNL is the more solid one. There's a real onus and burden on Team Dignitas to make something happen here with a very high skill execution here for Stitches and Zeratul to do their job.
Yeah. Those are the confidence for JPL here. He could have gotten hit by a Stormbolt, but he was always right behind that one Spider Minion, so there was just no way the Stormbolt was going to happen. And TNL was like, well, let's go. Let's rotate away. And they are going to actually push for a big rotation up to the top, switching now down back to the mid lane. Sniper just clearing the waves down there on the bot, and a pretty passive early game here, more than I thought from TNL.
The thing about Stitches is you can show off how many hooks you are able to hit in the early game as much as you like, but not only are takedowns, well, they're important. They can actually make you win the rotation, but they're not as likely in the beginning. You get a Murden, you get a Rhaegar, they're likely going to get away. Whereas Stitches late game, he's crazy. If you can get a takedown at level 16, 18, that's going to swing the game completely in your favor.
You start approaching those 40-second death timers, and every hook really matters.
Right. So, and you can even try 2 to 3 times until you finally get one, and you can have a great result out of it anyway. But that means they should also give themselves a chance to get into the late game, Team Dignitas. They can just play a little bit more safe in the beginning. The raw power of Murden, Greymane, and Jaina, it's very easy to get kills in the beginning. So we need Dignitas probably maybe to give away the first turn in if it gets to that point.
I think you're right. I really like how JPL's positioning. He's always in the front to poke and do a slam, and then he's behind the minion wave, so he cannot be hit by Stormbolts. He's never going to be caught. And if he is in a position where he might actually be hit by a Stormbolt, the rest of his team is backing him up so much there's just no way. Sniper actually a trade here with Bubby. It looked like we might want to poke there a little bit, but very risky.
Now, play a random Hero League game and you have a team with Zagara and Zeratul. The way you will split 10 out of 10 times is Zagara solo bot lane with Zeratul part of the rotation. The fact that this pro team here, this team Dignitas, is putting Zeratul in the solo lane, it just shows that Zeratul's power level is not level 1.
Yeah.
It is the ability to set up Void Prison to and they're completely okay with him just solo laning here.
Ooh, big hook there, goes down onto Jaehyun because he is Rhaegar, should be able to escape, but still, hooks already starting in the early game bodes well for Dignitas if they can make that consistent throughout the late game.
Yeah, nice hooks there. Zagara in the top lane, so we've got the 4-man rotation going in different directions.
Yeah. Actually, kind of funny how that works out. Big turn-ins as a result here for TNL, leaving it up at 34 to 30. Neither team has enough for a full turn-in yet, but they're getting very close. We're on the verge. In fact, Dignitas just now has that 20 that they need. And, you know, just going forward here, we do see a little bit of posturing around that turn-in point. Snitch is actually going to come over here and start turning in a little bit, just trying to grab those 9. Not going to happen, though. The easy denies from SC. And that's one of the reasons why they picked Tassadar. They value him very highly on this map.
Very momentum-based build here from Li Ming. She went for the Power Hungry, which is absolutely amazing on a few certain maps. Tomb of the Spider Queen is one of them. Dragonshire is another. You get that bonus ability power. That's 10% bonus ability power per minion wave that comes your way with a globe. And that's pretty much almost all the time. And just to put that in perspective, she has a level 20 that gives 10% ability power with Tarasha's elements, but instead she can get it at level 1 already, as long as you pick up those globes. And then to compensate for not having the force armor with the missiles is dominance there. So once the takedown starts, she can start out-healing herself.
Wants to go ahead and start those right now. SC will have to dimensional shift away. Crazy moving is very low here. And will escape there. Nice heal. Bubby actually getting a bit too aggressive there. Bakery in the front lines as well. Noblesse coming in. They want to re-engage after they all go back and tap.
12 gems paid by Zagara, and if Stitches makes his way to the top lane and there is enough time, he may be able to pay there.
Oh, Mana taking way too much damage here. Noblesse absorbs some as well, but he will be able to safely escape with that Dwarf Toss. And the position here for TNL is dominant. JPL coming back up here to the front, though. Neither team has level 7.
Noblesse paid the final gems.
Yep,
TNL does get the first pay in.
Yeah, Noblesse jumping away, actually, after that. You know, that hook there, every time he gets hooked, it's just never a problem. But this means the first web weavers come out, and this is important mainly because it's going to give more freedom to TNL to get some of these towers down and approach level 10.
Yeah, usually the first pay in always leads, especially under equal situation, to the first level 10, and that almost always leads to a second pay in as well, which is quite a powerful dynamic there, as you may be able to take down a number of forts already.
Yeah, very important that Dignitas does not lose any gems here in this exchange. They don't want to lose anybody, of course, but if they lose gems here, it really, really hurts. Because they are so close to a turn in themselves as well. I think they're like 18 off right now. All right, this first web weaver will fall actually in the mid lane, but such a strong push. 2 cannon towers going to go down. I'll be trying to deal with a push at bot as well, but Sniper's going to kill the rest of these cannon towers. And the top push with Zeratul versus Zagara, he's going to be able to push that lane really far. So as soon as the Weaver dies and they want to rotate out of here, top lane could be pushed down as well. I mean, like, the cannon towers are already starting to take some serious damage. You can do some damage to the fort.
This is a very strong result here for TNL to get that much damage on the fort. The usual result is going to be maybe 5 or 6 towers, but instead they get 1.5 forts as well.
Yeah.
Huge advantage here to TNL. But as we said, it's a little bit of a late game composition for Team Dignitas. And even though the first 1, 2, 3 web weavers usually result in a high siege damage, a very good effect, it is difficult to finish someone off with just the objective.
Yeah, that's true. This map is kind of known for going to late game because of that reason. It's one of the weaker objectives. Even though it got buffed like a few patches ago for the late game scaling, it still just doesn't end games very well. Oftentimes the boss and the top lane is what ends the game more than anything else.
And that's a pretty risky proposition, going into that boss location.
It's very risky because it's one of the only bosses where you can't really escape. When you commit to it, you commit fully. A level lead here, and they have their heroics now for TNL. Everything looking to be pretty standard here. No Haymaker. And we do see actually Water Elemental instead of Ring of Frost, and that makes sense because they don't have any setup for a good ring.
Yeah.
So I think it's a smart choice. Tassadar hiding his though, and Koreans have been known to go Archon.
Yeah, the Archon is, it was reduced in damage in a recent patch, so it's not as popular anymore. It has a much longer cooldown than Force Wall. But the cool thing about it, you get a large chunk of shields when you activate it, so you can kind of start to act as an off-tank, taking a lot of damage and then saving yourself with your dimensional shift.
And in the late game, you basically are unkillable because you have so many different ways to escape. While you're also doing a lot of damage because it does some AoE, and you have your storms as well. It looks like he wants to scare them a little bit with this. He's really hiding it. I don't think he's going to take Archon, though. I just think he wants to put the fear into Dignitas.
Well, he is the second support. And Force Wall wouldn't be that useful. Karazim can jump away, Zeratul can jump away, Li-Ming can jump away. He does go Force Wall.
Yeah, he does. I mean, there's definitely potential for Archon, and maybe one of the arguments for it again would be that double support. Meanwhile, we didn't mention this, but TNL, of course, has already gotten that turn, and they've zoned Dignitas out repeatedly over and over and over again. They were like 8 away from turning, and they just couldn't get it in. They just couldn't do it.
It's quite unusual. Usually Zagara is the one that gets the chokehold on the opponent, has all the vision, you keep denying the turn-ins. But there's too few good early game heroes with her. Like Li-Ming is especially strong at level 10 onwards. I mean, every hero is, but Li-Ming maybe more so than average.
Yeah.
So Zagara didn't have the proper team with her. Maybe that's a small draft flaw in what Team Dignitas has. Really banking on the late game there.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can survive it. I mean, this map does go late game a lot, as we were talking about before. Looks like they're going to try to get this top fort. It's a bit too greedy, though. They're going to back off. They know it. Noblesse got shields, and we'll be able to Dwarf toss away. Actually doesn't even have to. He's got full mana. And TNL, I love when they rotate. They don't actually use that many abilities. They just kind of slow push it so that they have mana in case they need to use it to re-engage or disengage to escape from these pushes.
JPL, he's got one mission here. He needs to try and land a hook on one of the high priority targets. For now, that's still Jaina. Later, she gets Ice Block and may be able to be saved by Ancestral Healing. Rhaegar would be an excellent choice. Bakery, Divine Palm!
He has to palm himself here, and that's a big problem. That means no more real healing for this team in Burst. Wubby does drop down a decent Void Prison. Noblesse, it does get hooked as well, but he immediately Dwarf tosses away. Wubby is down, and SC is doing so much damage himself even in here. Up at the front lines. Sniper dives in. Snitch is taking the second to fall.
39 gems!
That's so many lost, Grubby.
Oh my god.
And this might not be the end of it if Noblesse gets a good Stormbolt here.
And Li-Ming cannot pick it up. She gets zoned out. This is a massive loss here for Team Dignitas.
Oh, JPL is stuck here as well. Crazy Moving going to drop that Blizzard damage. JPL desperately trying to escape, but he's stunned with the Stormbolt.
Oh, another 28.
And that's so much gems lost. And even though they're only 8 away, this is bad for the rest of the late game here.
Bakery jumps in and out like Bilbo Baggins, will be unable to retrieve the ring there. Oh, he does get a number of gems, actually quite well done. Oh, the Ancestral!
The failed Ancestral, that's a small win here for Dignitas. Wubby is back up and online, so SC cannot stick around here.
Oh, Wubby got back pretty fast. It's like he did an immediate buyback, which, by the way, isn't possible in the Heroes of the Storm.
That's right.
That's how long the fight was taking.
Yeah, the fight took a long time as well, as he's only level 11 here, so not actually, that late into the game, and TNL is much higher level. Their death timer is going to mean a lot more. Jaina actually still not even respawning as we speak. So
now behold the value of Greymane with the repeated Gilnean cocktails. Canceling Bakery twice already from paying, and as everyone starts to trickle back in here for Team No Limit, Team Dignitas has to yield the objective once again.
Yeah, and we're actually nearing 60 gems for TNL. They're at 45. You know, they did get those takedowns. Takedowns will give you a few gems as well. You took the gems away from your opponent. If Dignitas loses another fight before their turn in, they may never be able to turn in this game. They just may never be possible.
It happens, man. On this map, like map control is so important. So actually the early game starts to kind of matter. But as long as you've got triple keeps, as long as you're able to get gems, get XP, it can be difficult for the opponent to outpush you.
Yeah, that's very much true. Now, 12 to go here for TNL. They have the level 13 talents. 13's getting closer and closer for Dignitas. One of the big power spikes for TNL, though, is going to be Northern Exposure, and that means even Stitches is going to be able to really tank, and since he's the only tank for their team, if you get a big Northern Exposure off of the Blizzard, they don't have lockdown, mind you, but if you get a good Storm Bolt, then you Northern Exposure, Blizzard,
Force Wall.
Just nasty. They've got Force Wall as well.
So probably if we get to level 20, Stitches will be picking up Bolt of the Storm.
Yeah.
We don't only see Bolt of the Storm with Gorge for some kind of cheese, eat someone, and jump behind the gate. We actually see it to reposition Putrid Violent to also save himself.
Yeah.
Now earlier today by Team Cloud9, they had a Stitches setup on Sky Temple, and he actually took Stone Skin at level 16, which is extremely unusual to see in Europe. We often see that longer hook, and they may be able to get that for the pickoffs.
Sure. This map is really small, and there are a lot of minions blocking. Oh, this might be the hook that kills Noblesse. No, he's just going to Avatar and go in for the engage. TNL is looking for this. Ancestral going off here as well. And actually, somewhat of a wasted Ancestral. They don't follow up. Maybe some miscommunication here, as it looked like they really wanted to engage, but they didn't. Like, Noblesse, I think, wanted to go in, and the team did not. That's what it seemed like there.
He's like, I'm in position, wait for my go. And the team is like, nope, we already burned everything.
Yep, 2 heroics wasted on long cooldown. Bile's coming up in 25 seconds. Maw's still available, Disintegrate's still available, and finally Dignitas will get their first turn-in from this disengage of TNL. So a very big win. And still this heroics, long cooldowns for TNL.
There's a rising storm here as TNL is looking at level 16. We've got the first Web Weaver. Greymane gets hooked here.
Yep, Sniper does escape for the time being, but big Void Prison. Let's see if they can re-engage on top of this. JPL getting up at the front.
No
There's the Maw, but
way!
it doesn't hit.
Oh my god, what a blunder here as Wubby gets a decent Void Prison. The Maul misses entirely, and still it leads to a single takedown. This could have been massive. This could have been an almost ace team fight here, Wolf.
Very big blunder. You know, it's the small things. We're talking about this tiny window of time that was just missed. I mean, we're milliseconds off on that. And that's one of the challenges of lining up this combo when you do it in that order. And sometimes you do it in the other order. It just depends on what the circumstances are. But
there's two ways of doing it, right? You can cast Devouring Maul right when VP ends, or you can just cast it whenever and rely on Zeratul to cancel it within about half a second.
Yeah.
And communication for that is key, of course.
Yeah.
I think Zeratul was doing too many tiny little cutesy things, like he was doing Vorpal Blade on Muradin and focusing him and so on.
But you know,
yeah, go ahead.
even regardless of the whiff there, which could have been like a huge push for them, they still get a takedown. The push is still strong, and they've evened up the EXP. They're only about a third of a level down now.
And they've got 82 gems over 55. However, no level 16 yet, and TNL will be looking to get back into this. Those opportunities are the ones that you will look back at and regret, especially if the game ends up in a loss. Like, yeah, that was a big comeback strike here for Team Dignitas, but they did not min-max the situation.
Yeah. I have to agree. TNL will get this turn in, and Dignitas close to 16, but they're going to have to be soaking that 16 on the defense of Web Weavers. And we're still looking to see what Stitches is going to grab on 16. You know, I think we're probably going to see Fishing Hook here, considering that like their whole comps initiate kind of revolves around a pickoff and then a better fight later.
Yeah, very true. I agree with you. I think we'll see exactly that. You can reach basically beyond 2 of these walls here that you see in that tunnel with Fishing Hook. Now, if you've ever taken a holiday picture and you had an awkward face, you know how TNL feels in the sense that if they are in a weird position, Zeratul will take a picture of you, and you cannot change your position anymore.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
You see the 2 Void Prisons that got cast so far were on 3 members of Team No Limit, but Murdin was always in front and Jaina always behind. That's TNL's good holiday pictures.
Yeah. Nice block. There's the hook. Crazy Moving's in trouble. He does get shielded and healed immediately. Noblesse is going to have to Avatar. He's up here at the front. Good Ancestral. He does come back. But here's those Void Prisons we're talking about. And it looks like SC is in trouble.
Yeah, they get it! A 3-man ball here.
Oh, there's a Disintegrate as well. Crazy Moving is in trouble. Jaehyun is actually the one who nearly dies, but they do re-engage here. Bakery keeping everybody alive. A big blizzard going down the Stitch with Northern Exposure. The chase with the Water Elemental, and there's the stun. Noblesse grabs the kill, but SC will be hooked in.
Fantastic play and crisis management by Team No Limit here. This is absolutely crazy. Jaehyun getting away with just a sliver of his life and taking down Zeratul immediately after this combo. They got comboed like crazy, and they actually get the double takedown. Team No Limit is out of this world.
Sniper showing his prowess on Tassadar, a hero he does, sorry, not Tassadar, excuse me. SC showing his prowess on Tassadar, a hero he doesn't play all too often, but he does, he's playing him like a support here, It is a double support comp. He's more of a warrior player, even though he's switched roles to being a flex. He's more known for his warrior play, but he's hitting his shields immediately. He's got great reactions here. And it just goes to show you how mechanically powerful these ex-StarCraft 2 pros are when it comes to Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, definitely. Very strong individual mechanics here. If we look at the situation, we have another turn-in here for Team Dignitas, but they are unable to wrestle back map control as of yet. They have a moment here where they will only be 1 level behind, and this seems to be the moment that they need to hit it. But Void Prison is 10 seconds out.
Yeah, 10 seconds away here. They're looking for an engage right now. All right, here we go. There's a big hook onto SC. He's not the best target because he can, of course, just dimensional shift away. Mercs are pushing right now. We talked about how it's not the most important thing on this map, but they have 2. 1 in the bot, 1 in the mid right now. And Dignitas desperately wants a turn. They have over 100 gems right now. If they lose a team fight, it's disastrous. Noblesse has to dwarf toss away here. Sniper gets low. And there's again another 3-man Void Prison.
That's a great Void Prison. Oh, the 3-man roll. But the Ancestral hits from Greymane right before it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, SC taking a lot of damage here. Noblesse is up at the front. Big palm going down onto Wubby. He's still in the front lines, but he's caught himself. The force wall goes down, and he's the first to fall in the second fight. Jaehyun will be killed as well. Mene, the sniper. Noblesse is going to be the second to fall. That's another reset for Mene, but he is actually going to go on the retreat here.
Oh, this is crazy. Bakery with 79 gems, jumping forward and finishing the kill on Muradin. Almost looked like he would get away, but it will not be the case. So 2 for 2 here.
Yeah, and this is, another fishing hook attempt there. It would have hit Crazy Moving. That would have been a great grab there. He doesn't have Bolt yet. But looking at this, with all these lost gems, TNL doesn't have another turn in anytime soon. They want to grab some kills here and actually get 20. Crazy Moving getting very, very low, and Sniper, of course, is going to have to run away. They're going to have to disengage here. Cocktail poke on Mene is strong, but you don't want to fight here. You're down in health, you're down in mana. Crazy Moving's not there. He has to Hearth home.
All throughout this, the Siege Camp has been pushing the bottom keep. It's down to 50% already. Very nice fight timing by Team No Limit here as they get a 2 for 2, but they get so much damage in here.
They didn't get a turn-in off of this because of that fact alone, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because if they didn't have that pressure on them, I think they would have gotten a turn-in from there. They had forced all of the TNL members that survived that exchange to actually go back and Hearth home. But they themselves were a bit low, and the Mercs were pushing, and they made the decision to go back and play the safe play. Yeah. But they lose a turn-in as a result, and that turn-in could have gotten them closer to 20. Now they're going to be fighting 2 levels down versus those Storm talents.
Yeah, but that keep is at 10%. They did not want to let that happen. One thing the Team Dignitas... Oh, look at that! Tassadar going in for the kill. SCSC sneakily backdooring that keep. Well done there. We'll start to get catapults pushing down the bottom lane now.
And that's always going to give a lot of extra control. Dignitas checking to see if the boss was being taken. Meanwhile, it was not. And a big setup here for TNL to engage. Maw and Void Prison are available here. Let's see if they can actually make this work. A big blizzard, though. Bakery has to palm himself, and that's a problem. Noblesse up in the front lines. Good cleanse there.
Devouring Maw misses on everyone as Snitch is scrambling to get away here from this fight, but it is a full rout of massacre.
And JPL will be the next to fall. Mene over here trying to get the kill on Jaehyun. He's healed and shielded. And now the Water Elemental's on the chase. Mene, I don't think, is going to get his way out of this one. Force One locks him in. Sniper will get the kill. And this is 4 men.
Yeah, that's going to be it. It's a 5 versus 1. Zeratul does not have the power to repel this oncoming onslaught on the core here. Level 19 versus 20.
Yep. Mid keep is down. SC's actually taking the long road here. As definitely going to slow down their push, but I think you are right. That is going to be the kill here onto this core. Let's see Wubby trying to do everything he can, but he's actually stunned, and he will go down. That's 5 dead, and that will be game. TNL takes game 1, 12 kills to 4 here. GG is called from Dignitas. A lot of respect being shown from both teams, but TNL, not the dominant game I expected from them, and we saw some really good late-game team fights, but they had the better turn-ins, they had the better control of the Mercs, which we talked about isn't always, like, rotation was the 1 star, like the Korean commentators put up there saying, like...
1, right? Not 0.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, Mercs aren't that strong, but the Mercs, I feel like, really changed that game in the late game.
Yeah, because had those siege camp not been pushing, and maybe they should have just let it happen. I mean, you see how easy it was for Tassadar to eventually finish it off, but maybe they let it happen and they paid her in a better situation, because there was actually no route towards level 20. When you're 18 and a half, you've got 100 plus gems and nothing really to get bonus experience from.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a mistake to go back.
Maybe so, because the Web Weavers themselves, yeah, the first one isn't going to do much when all your lanes are pushed. You've got mid lane and bot lane pushed pretty hard. The Web Weavers are going to kind of defend, but that does give you that defense. You can push with it a little bit. You just kind of delay the game so you can get your 20 up before that next fight, whereas instead, they lost the keep, and then the fight happened that was forced by TNL, and they had the 20 Storm talents. And even though Bakery comes in, he like goes and uses his like cleansing talent to like get rid of the slows and the stuns. It's still not enough to save them in that last fight.
Now, I see one problem here with the fights by Team Dignitas, and at the risk of earmarking one player here, Wubby on Zeratul. There was a problem with the way that these fights were going. Oftentimes the fight would start with a great combo by Blizzard, and then that would force Dignitas' hand, either with a quick Divine Palm or a spreading of their positioning. Here we have another Void Prison on everyone except Murden and Jaina, and then Zeratul, he sticks around after every Void Prison attacking Murden. Murden is not the easiest of targets, even though they do end up getting him here, but it was kind of like Zeratul, he has to bolt in, he has to blink in to get a good VP, which means all he's got is Vorpal Blade, which is a gap closer, not an escape. He died 3 out of 4 times after Void Prison because he keeps attacking Murden. And he thinks like, oh, you know, I've got time, everyone is in, we're going to combo them and everything. But he died so many times that I wonder if like maybe after the Void Prison, he needs to start walking away, make himself scarce, invisible, and then jump in later when Bolt is off of cooldown again.
Yeah, get that re-engage. I feel like in that fight we were watching earlier that we were talking about, his Sniper had actually been the target. I think he would have been killed, but instead he hit Noblesse. And yeah, Noblesse goes down, but maybe you get Sniper and you go into Noblesse. Now this is when the Maws start to line up once we get to this late game. And still, the disengages from TNL are amazing. Bakery having to palm Wubby here, but he's up in the front trying to get that damage. It's just not enough. There's not enough support for him. Noblesse is up in the front with like no health, but still no fear. And look at this. He jumps in here. He ends up dying, but he does what he needs to do to secure that second kill.
And Bakery's got other things to worry about than only saving Zeratul. Like oftentimes he will get focused because he's contributing to the fight. He's got to save Li Ming, who by the way never died. Very nice positioning by Mena, huge damage. He was doing what he needed to do, but yeah, Zeratul playing maybe a little bit too aggressively. And I think if you look at this game, you just don't draft Zeratul again, because there was such a solid defense here by Team No Limit.
And they also drafted Zeratul into a double support comp, so it's much harder to burst a target with Zeratul when you've got Tassadar who gives vision a lot of the time anyways. He can put a shield and Rhaegar heals. It's really hard to make that work.
I mean, Rhaegar was picked last, right?
Yeah.
But that's also a way to deal with Zera. Zera Li Ming is actually one of the popular 2-hero combinations, as Li Ming benefits from kills. And Stitches and Zeratul, especially Zeratul, often is a great finisher, especially with Vorpal Blade. But you kind of counter that by making yourself unkillable. Now, of course, this is impossible. In Heroes of the Storm, everybody has a chance of dying. But having double support or like a double warrior setup is a great way to protect yourself. Remember that Void Prison and Devouring Maw at kind of the top of the pay station where they got Greymane in, and Greymane was like 10% life.
Yeah.
But the Ancestral hit.
Yeah, we watched the Ancestral animation like go into the Maw with them.
That was pretty crazy, and I wonder like I think that's not possible if you VP and you cancel and cast Maw perfectly.
Yeah, you can actually cancel it, I think, if you time it just perfectly. The timings were like a little bit off.
There was like a tiny gap just to prevent another Maul like fizzling into the Void Prison. So they need to work a little bit on their timing.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, I feel like they did it okay, but not good enough to go against the likes of TNL, who drafted against it with the double support.
Yeah.
And they already had Tassadar, so I think it was a smart pick, maybe a surprising pick for Dignitas, and I think it was like not a bad draft by them, but the execution was where the problem lay.
Right, we called it a secret weapon, right? Because in theory, normally you look at that and you say, it doesn't really make sense to pick Zeratul against Tassadar, which means that there was a kind of supreme confidence or plan. Anyway, it didn't work this time.
Well, first ban Muradin for Dignitas this time, and TNL is going to take away Zul, which is obviously really strong when your opponent has first pick. They're going to pick him like every time in this case, because obviously wave clear is the most important on Infernal Shrines when it comes to clearing the skeletons as well as the lane control.
Yeah, exactly. And why ban Muradin? Well, you don't really need an answer for that. He's one of the most solid warriors, and TNL uses Muradin to great effect. You saw, even if Muradin is alone and all of his buddies are stuck in a Void Prison and then Maul, which is basically a 6-second timeout, he's fine. He mostly didn't die even when he's 5 seconds by himself.
And he dove in and died very rarely, even at like 15-20% health, just because the double support comp kept him alive so well there.
Yeah.
Dignitas is going to take Thrall as their first pick, so obviously he can actually do quite a bit of lane control. He's a great solo laner. Zagara with Zeratul, we see it a lot from TNL. I don't know if they want to show this here this early in the tournament, if they want to keep doing that, because My Insanity let them get away with it, and it did really well versus big gods as well. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think maybe they want to do that in the second pick phase. Zagara and... Oh, okay, there we go. So we've seen this a lot before. Zagara, ETC, and then possible follow-up picks are Zeratul, Malfurion, but by no means necessary. This is... ETC is actually extremely highly valued in Korea on Infernal Shrines in particular by teams like TNL and MVP Black, because there's 4 entrances to every objective. And basically, if ETC stands roughly in the middle, he can choose one of those 4 entrances to power slide in, and everyone gets hit by the bus.
Yeah, and when you actually use the face melt, everyone gets knocked out and gets locked into where the rest of your team is. And it's kind of a choke point, so as long as you get that right slide, that's a good point. Now, Dignitas here, a lot of teams in Korea would like to see this pick from TNL, and they would try to pick up Uther early because they don't want ETC Uther to be a thing. But that means that Bakery wouldn't be able to play Karazin, and he's not as comfortable on Uther. He has played some really good Uther games in the past, but not a comfortable thing to do here for Dignitas, and I don't think they will.
I think we can still see a Morales potentially coming out here for Team Dignitas, as Morales has that grenade that can cancel Mosh Pit. Falstad, another Mosh Pit counter. At this point, everything starts to center around that Mosh Pit.
Yeah.
There is still a second ban phase where they could remove Uther.
They could take Johanna here if they wanted to be like really fancy and get a solid tank, since Muradin is banned. And if they want to feel, if JPL wants to feel like that's the way he wants to play this, she's also got great skeleton clears.
Another really important hero on this map and in general is Greymane. Whenever he uses Gilnean Cocktail, he gets between 4 to 8 skeletons and gets damage on the opponent as well.
That's a good point. The only weakness I think of picking Greymane here is you lock yourself into 3 damage dealers in the first part of the draft, which means the second part of the draft means you're looking for a support and a tank, and it makes it much easier for TNL to draft against what you're trying to build.
Sure.
And they're going to take Tassadar here. Interesting choice. It's got great skeleton kills. You know, really similar to what we were talking about not yesterday, but last game on Tomb of the Spider Queen, where he pushes waves, he gets those safe, easy gems. Similar sort of idea here. The Auric ban.
Another hero that can clear really easily. If Team Dignitas wants to follow that trend, they'll be removing Johanna, but I think they'd like to keep that option for themselves, maybe.
Yeah, because if they remove Johanna, TNL's like, well, we didn't want it, you know.
And we're thinking Uther right here, maybe.
I think Uther would be a great ban. I absolutely agree.
So
Take that away.
Let's just say that Uther is the standard ban here for preventing an ETC Uther comp. There are some other considerations. If they don't want to go against Zeratul, well, they already kind of predated that with Tassadar.
Yeah, that's also like exactly what I was going to say. They are going to ban it anyways.
Still.
They respect it. They respect it, and that's smart.
After all, they believe in Zeratul against Tassadar. They did it last game.
And I think this means we're going to see a Greymane from TNL here. I think it's absolutely what's the next pick. Greymane and ETC. Greymane and Uther.
Yeah.
It's so powerful here.
I'm expecting a Malfurion come out here potentially, as well as either a Greymane or a Jaina.
Wow, Rhaegar.
Okay.
Definitely not what I expected. He also clears skeletons decently well.
Sure.
Not valuing the Divine Shield on ETC so much versus Dignitas. And
so now maybe Greymane could be coming out. It could be Jaina. Whenever you have a Mosh Pit set up, one hero isn't doing anything, which is easy to see, well, stunning the whole enemy team, but you need massive follow-up damage to actually make use of that. It's no good to be like, hey, here's a mosh pit, and then Rainer's like, all right, fill him full of daylight. Attack someone.
Yeah, never good. Rhaegar like goes into wolf form and jumps in. It's just not that helpful. You need a big burst follow for that. That's why Mosh is a good ability, right?
Right. So we've got Jaina being able to fill that role. Even Kel'Thas with Chain Bomb on all the skellies. He's got massive damage potential with Power Blast, Phoenix, Flame Strike, and the Chain Bombs. Is a pretty decent option. He fell off the map completely in Europe and NA, but he sees some use in Korea.
I think if you want to get Jaina, you get it last. Oh, I'm wrong here. They are going to take Jaina. So that gives them a lot of different options for that final role, which could even be Sonya.
Could be a secret weapon, could be another support even, could be Sonya, definitely.
Now, Dignitas doesn't have massive answers for...
The problem here is you go Johanna, you've got nice wave clear and nice shrine clear, but Johanna often serves a secondary purpose of preventing auto attackers from doing their stuff. But TNL is not that auto attack focused. They're kind of focused around the wombo combo.
You know what would be a really good choice here for JPL, I think, is Chen. Because you've got Jaina on the side of TNL, you've got Zagara, you bring Chen in here, you do Grounding Brew, it works out really well. They're going to take Johanna anyways. Johanna is also a great initiate for them and can follow up with a really awesome Gust, where you Gust them into Johanna, she drops down her Blessed Shield.
Now Greymane is still up. Either you take it or you expect you come against Greymane. Greymane has got great poke, and you've only got Tassadar. And this could be a concern for Dignitas. They might want to pick up either a second support or Greymane themselves.
Looking at this, yeah, I like that choice. Because what is TNL's last pick here? I think it forces a Sonya. And we have seen some really good play out of Sonya on SCSC, but with Greymane out of the picture, Crazy Moon will definitely be playing Jaina. And that means Sniper will be on Zagara, and ETC, of course, going to be played by Noblesse. So both teams have good comps, but I think that TNL's comfort on theirs, even though the Greymane was taken away, they already have a Jaina. Yeah. So almost like makes it feel like, because Crazy Moving plays both, right? So if Crazy Moving's already on Jaina, you take Greymane away from TNL. But Crazy Moving's like, no, I wasn't even going to play Greymane, and we were thinking of Sonya already. Right. The more I think about this, I think TNL won the draft. I think they have the picks that suit them really well as a team and what the roles they play are.
Yeah, I do agree with that. As Sonya, most of her damage comes from spells, so blind itself from Johanna is not really going to be the key. And now you can really understand why they kind of forced Dignitas into Johanna. You cannot actually approach the shrine with a single warrior like, let's say, Chen or Diablo. They don't have good enough wave clear. They don't have good enough escape. So Johanna was almost a sure thing after Zul was removed as well as Leoric. So it seems like TNL kind of dictated the draft here, whereas Dignitas was banning away things like Zeratul that they're simply afraid of, but which were not a necessity for the draft of Team No Limit.
Yeah, I think TNL is really showing some flexibility in this draft. Guys, the map is loaded. Infernal Shrines here for game number 2. Can Dignitas bring it back, or is TNL going to take that 2-0? Dignitas in blue, JPL and Johanna Bakery playing support Tassadar. It will be, I think, on Thrall, but I couldn't see the rest of that, so I'm going to jump over here for one more minute. And everyone is on everyone I said they were earlier, so if you were paying attention there, it's good. Mene is going to be playing Greymane, and Wobby is on...
He's going to be on Thrall?
On Thrall, yeah. Falstad is Snitch. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Interestingly enough, we've got Bakery on Tassadar, and although, Tassadar is a pretty strong solo support, actually he's completely okay so long as there's not an overabundance of poke damage on the opponent team, and that is not the case. This is kind of like a bursty combination attack composition by Team No Limit. Power Slide, Mosh Pit, Devour them all for huge bursts. So Tassadar's completely fine here. They took away the last poke in taking Greymane, but I know personally from Bakery, he said on the talk show that he is not a fan of playing solo Tassadar. Like, it's not as playmaker, it's not as dynamic as playing something like Karazim or even Morales. So, but you do what's best for the team.
And you know, Rhaegar was jokingly called by many members of the community a heal bot after his nerf to his Ancestral. Tassadar is absolutely not that, but what he can do heal bot-wise is once he gets his talent where your shields actually do not expire.
Kala's Embrace.
Exactly. Once you have Kala's Embrace, you basically have a setup where everyone on your team has shields as long as you're being mana efficient and you're careful enough. Everyone can have a shield all the time, and that in itself is almost like a heal bot. It's like a shield bot.
Yeah.
And if you're careful with that, you can set up some really good team fights. It's hard to burst people down when the whole team is just basically has more health than you.
Which also means that when team fights happen quickly and abruptly, and they last for a short time, basically everyone on your team had a bigger health pool.
Yeah.
Even if they're not receiving shields or heals directly, they just all have like 5 to 12% bonus HP.
That's right, and that's something that a healer can't give you. A healer can only put you to their top health, so that's one of the strengths of Tassadar because of that talent alone. All right, well, no big action here in this game just yet. In fact, we're almost dead even in EXP.
And the split is how you would expect. Thrall and Sonya are the best solo laners on each respective team, along with Zagara, but Sonya can heal herself up, which is an advantage when you're going up against Thrall with the Chain Lightning, who can keep adding a little bit of damage on his adversary.
This is such a smart move by Snitch to come up here and deny that gank. We're going to see Jaehyun take a bit of damage, but had Snitch not come up there, they were definitely looking for a gank on Sonya. This is something that Thrall, or excuse me, we're looking for a gank on Thrall. Sometimes in Korea, the Sonya player will let Thrall push the lane just for a gank like this, and Snitch has studied this, so he comes up and denies it. That was so smart. He made sure that didn't happen. I really like to see stuff like that, because that's something I've seen TNL do over and over and over again, and that means Dignitas has watched this, they've noticed this as well. Really smart move there.
A move straight from Lord of the Rings as the Eye of Sauron looks at the middle shrine, suddenly going for the top in a counterintuitive gank move. Cool strategy there by TNL.
Now, as you guys can see, TNL will control this shrine for now. Bakery is not the heal bot, so he can shield people, he can keep people alive from burst, but TNL will control this for the time being. I'm going to ask you, GroupB, who do you think has the stronger late game comp? Because it's hard to say, right? Like, it's hard to really pick one. I think Jaina has Northern Exposure, right? That makes things a lot more powerful. Getting Bolt on ETC if we go super late game can set up some awesome Maws, or excuse me, Moshes.
I feel like when you have ETC, you've almost always got the better team fight potential, but it's difficult to set it up, right? It's up to Dignitas to cancel out TNL's combination here, and what Team Dignitas has is a superior soaking ability. Greymane and Falstad and Johanna are all excellent at soaking split lane, and Falstad has a ganking potential, so I feel like the map control is really good for Dignitas, but TNL's got a great team fight.
Oh, Mana getting way too low there, sticking around for a very long time and got hit by that blizzard and just kind of hit by both waves. Obi is coming up here, is going to try to get the kill on Jaehyun. He does go down actually, but it may cost him his life, and in fact it will. JPL is also very low. Not sure if he has Stone Skin available.
Clutch shield there by Bakery on Snitch. The Roach bot taking another 200 HP off the shield there, but Snitch will get away on the Falstad.
Now, level 7 nearly available here for TNL. That's going to, of course, maybe get Frostbitten, I would say, is what Crazy Moving likes to build. That's going to add a lot of extra damage for these fights. Giving it some consideration, though, also means when you see Battle Momentum coming up on Zagara, she can do more consistent damage as well. And there is Frostbitten.
It shows his confidence. Frost Armor is great against Thrall, as basically anyone who hits her, even with Spell, which can be kind of deceptive, even if you Chain Lightning her, you get slowed.
Yeah.
Frost Armor is so good. And then it blocks auto attack 75% every 8 seconds, which Thrall, you know, he hits really hard, so same with Greymane. So the fact that Crazy Moving doesn't take it shows that he's very confident in his positioning.
I think it also highlights the fact that there's no burst heal. I mean, he has shields, right, but there's no Ancestral here, there's no Divine Shield, so if you actually burst someone down with this, they're going to die faster, and Tassadar may not be able to save them.
Yeah, plus hopefully he engages in fights like really properly whenever everyone is dancing to ETC's sick tunes.
That's
so
true.
You just want damage.
That's absolutely true. It combos well with Northern Exposure. That's why I always build it. I think it's like the best pick in most situations, but you know, the Frost Armor versus Thrall specifically, as you mentioned, is smart.
Note the other talent adaptations on this map. Sonya once again with the Aftershock there, the extra splash damage to get the Skeletons damage. Johanna, of course, with the WW build, the Eternal Retaliation and the Night Takes Spawn. Night Takes Spawn doesn't do bonus damage anymore on the Shrine, but the Eternal Retaliation means that you've pretty much got a 1-second cooldown on your Condemn every time you use it at the Shrine. Yeah. Constant disruption and stuns.
You basically just keep spinning it around, and everyone's got to stay away. Really powerful on this map specifically.
Oh, look at this. Team Dignitas completely giving up the Shrine here, which SCSC is probably going to solo. I expect to see 3 to 4 members of TNL move down here to deal with this.
Yeah, and Noblesse is actually going to come down here alone. And what's interesting is Mene does not stay in the top lane. In fact, they leave Snitch up there. And yeah, he's going Mage Foul, so he's got Boomerang, but I feel like if you have Mene up there with the poke, you can actually delay the Shrine a lot more, make this more effective. It's still somewhat of a win for Dignitas because they were likely to lose the Shrine anyways, but now they lose the Shrine, but they have their heroics.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of raced past this part where they have half a level down, and because of the towers, they're now equal. They could start to use some heroics in a kill here. If that Wolf hits, expect to see a Sundering follow up and get the ETC kill, but they did not manage to do that.
No, it did not. The Mortar Punisher is out, Val, by the way, and TNL is pushing with it strong here in the top lane. Good pullover by JPL, so it's going to absorb a lot more damage here. But this could have been a really bad situation for Dignitas, and they've turned it around having these heroics. They can be a little bit more aggressive on the pokes here on this Immortal. Not going to actually like lose control of it. The stun does go down onto JPL though, and actually they have to use Mighty Gust to blow that away. That was a bit awkward there. Definitely not what they had planned. I think he just was a little bit more confident in his range away from the Punisher than he actually should have been.
Yeah, I think Johanna would have died if Mighty Gust wasn't used, and Mighty Gust is such a lovely 4th basic ability. It's already on a 20-second cooldown. You can use that to save anybody anytime.
Yeah, it's got like less of a cooldown than Lunar's Wisp. Like,
actually, they had the same one, but Lunar's Wisp got nerfed to, buffed to 30-second cooldown, so it is slightly longer than Wisp now.
Slightly longer. But I mean, it's just literally just one of those cooldowns where you just kind of like snap your wrist, you like crack your knuckles, and it's already off cooldown. Yeah. Now TNL is going to aggressively try to steal these Impalers. They're going to invade here, and actually it's a 5-man invade. This is something that you can scout as Bakery here on Tassadar and actually just kind of counterplay against. So they do see this. They don't go to try to counter this. They leave Snitch up in the top lane. He's going to continue to get that EXP. And one thing that Dignitas is really doing well in this game, I feel, GroupB, is maintaining EXP. Despite being down and losing some of these fights and losing some map objectives, they keep the EXP pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, TNL gets all the camps, and I wonder what the exact purposes of getting camps when the opponent is in such a good position to defend. These Impalers are going to attack without the pressure of the objective right now, and I haven't seen a member of TNL in the top lane for a long time. Look for Bakery to try. Oh, I thought maybe Bakery could have tried to dismount ETC, denying even more XP, but he didn't have eyes on the other members of TNL, so that could have been risky.
Yeah, very risky indeed. I feel like one of the reasons why we see TNL, and this is my experience in Korea, take all these camps, is they like to take their opponent's camps first and rotate back and take their own. And sometimes it lines up where you have like a camp pushing like this right before the Shrine, even though it's not in the best position.
Yeah, the worst.
But sometimes what happens is you just end up saying, well, you don't have this tool anymore. I'm ahead, you have no tools to come back, you can't ever split push or delay the fight. And I think that's kind of how they think of the game, as if all your tools are gone, then we're ahead, like you can't catch up.
And they willingly sacrificed experience points for it.
Yeah.
The Impalers are pushing in the middle now. They get the first 10 skeletons, which puts a bit of pressure on Team Dignitas. But I feel like Dignitas handled it really well. They're also choosing to ignore the Impalers. Not as scary of a camp as the Fallen Shaman camp, and will be dealt with maybe the next minion wave.
Yeah, definitely not as big of a deal here. Very even when it comes to skeletons here. Mene actually gets caught there by Noblesse, losing a lot of his health, and he can't be healed, you know. Bakery actually very low on mana as well, so he's not going to be able to dive in as easily as he used to until he gets another shield, but even still, it's not a heal. This is going to be a big condemn coming forward here. JPL trying to do what he can, but Crazy Moving not even affected. And he did, he does still have Blessed Shield. There's the Sunring, and Blessed Shield goes down. Sonya is the first to die. Maybe Dignitas can take this fight.
A single Devouring Maul on Tassadar here. He will be locked out for a bit. We've got very low health and mana. The skeletons on each side, 36 and 29 taking in favor of TNL.
TNL so close to this. Noblesse does get Ancestraled, and that's that burst heal that's missing for Dignitas. And he's going to go ahead and kill Wubby, which means this is now 4v4. And Snitch so low. And 2-1 away from grabbing that.
That was a little bit funny. Forceful, preventing the Mighty Gust from blowing ETC away. And I must say I'm not a huge fan of mental acuity. I've seen Bakery take this every single time. Actually, I love the talent, but in this particular case, as you said, Greymane takes 40% of his life in damage, and he just doesn't get it back.
Yeah.
He cannot heal it back with Leeching Plasma, even though he's such a great auto attacker.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. And this fight basically was won by Dignitas initially, but where was the follow-up? You know, it was really
They were
good
all low
engage.
life.
Yeah, like mana was so low that he couldn't actually dive in. So even though they got that first kill with a great engage by JPL's Blessed Shield, what was the fault? There's just no damage except menace, and you know your mage fall stat. You can't just sit back and auto attack everybody. You know, you're more burst oriented. And TNL has the Ancestral, they have that extra healing power.
And now you actually see, it goes all the way back to the rotation of TNL. As you said before, they grabbed the Impalers in that order, that single Impaler. And actually what it did, even though Dignitas was able to defend it easily, it kept them on the map.
Yeah.
Like, they had to defend Impaler after Impaler. Wow.
A big attempted fight here, but yeah.
And they had to defend so many Impalers in a row, and even though they were able to do it easily, they entered that fight with half mana pools. So not only was Tassadar unable to give a single point of healing to his allies, but also they were all on low mana, which means that even though they decisively got the kill on Sonya, they probably shouldn't have stayed around. Going in on Zagara now!
Zagara does get Ancestral though and gets a huge maw. Noblesse will be the first to die. Mena actually getting value this time. A big gust aggressively here, and TNL are now out of position. The Condemn will only hit Jaehyun, but it may be a confirmed kill. SC's going to try to retreat to the left, and I feel like that could have gone a lot worse for TNL.
Yeah, definitely. As if Bakery was able to get in range, a Force Will could have secured the kill here, but he was unable to mount up. Still, equal level here, and we finally have Dignitas being able to do some camps themselves here and get back a little bit of initiative.
Yeah, very true. 16 is on the horizon for both teams. It's actually even kills right now, 3-3. And with Northern Exposure coming up here for TNL, I feel like that's really, really powerful. When you look at what Dignitas has in the lineup, they don't have as much of a power spike. They don't have a vulnerability talent or anything like that. And when you have the ability to blizzard into a mosh pit or a maw, that Northern Exposure means so much because it hits multiple heroes. And, you know, of course, Sylvanas will never have that again, but you know, this is like one of the only multiple vulnerability talents in the game, if not the only one. I can't think of another one right now after the Sylvanas nerf in the next patch. So,
of course, Artanis has...
oh, yeah, of course. But, I mean, he's not in the meta, so it doesn't really matter.
And it's a single target, as you said.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Fanaticism coming out here for Janna. Bonus movement speed whenever she turns on Iron Skin and she takes damage, which of course she will take damage from every skeleton that's around her. So she will speed up to almost mount speed every single time she turns it on. And with the Crusade Marches on at 7, Johanna is going to have so much value out of Iron Skin every time.
All right, Snitch is back here in the fight. He may be the one to set up the initiate. It's mostly JPL though. Big range, big poke here.
Look at this. Hunger of the Wolf coming out on Rhaegar here. Jaehyun going for the 5% lifesteal from people every time he hits someone with Wolf form.
I think it's because they don't have a dedicated healer. It's definitely to keep him alive longer in these fights. He can definitely stay up in the front lines a lot more. Even when he's down in health, he can actually engage.
Oh no, Mighty Gust was used already. There was an opportunity there for a power slide mosh pit, and he wanted to prevent that already. Blessed Shield misses!
A huge whiff on that Blessed Shield, and this is a big, big problem.
Dignitas has to give this up. This is 2 interrupts of mosh pit. I feel like staying around here is extremely risky. They're down 2 heroics.
They're relying on Sundering, really, if they actually engage this. It has to be like the perfect Sundering.
Right. So Thrall can, of course, Iron Skin, if it gets used at the right time with Condemn, will also cancel more spit. But still, this is 2 heroics gone.
Really good zoning here for JPL, and a lot of poke damage with these blocks. The mosh pit fails here, and Noblesse does not get Ancestral. There's the Sundering.
A complete whiff on the power slide mosh pit here.
And the Maw goes down as well. SC healing up a lot of his life. It's a 5v4, and the Gust for the disengage. Such great play here from Dignitas, and maybe they can actually take this shrine. Don't forget, the Mercs are still pushing in the mid lane.
So we've got Half-Life here coming out of Johanna. People dropping low on mana. Bakery looking to get the Force Wall here on Jaina, and they get it!
Oh, Crazy Moving does get killed there. Sniper will go down next. Another missed Ancestral. Jaehyun's out of mana now. They do kill Wubby. SC is the carry at this moment in time. But he's not going to live. And Blessed Shield's off cooldown. SC tries to hook himself away. He will survive for now, but the huge win for Dignitas. They're ahead in kills. They're ahead in EXP. If they get the shrine, it could be the beginning of a beautiful comeback.
It's the question if they actually can. We've got Sonya and Rhaegar here. They're pretty tanky. Ancestral is still up, and I feel like Sonya can clean everyone up here.
Yeah, it looks like they are just going to give it away. Don't forget the Merc still pushing in mid. It's still close. They're trying to contest it. It's not going to happen.
I don't think they can do it.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see Snitch come down here and kill these Impalers. Even with Dignitas' lead in EXP, they're down on structures, and this next Mortar Punisher really affects that.
Yeah, Punisher is going to start working on the keep. Now, keep in mind that because the wall was not taken down, that means they can pull the Punisher over the keep, and Mortar is one of the weaker ones. So if they pull it over and they attack it with Greymane, it's very easy to take it down.
Yeah.
Interesting strats here by TNL, going for the bottom camp.
Yeah, really interesting, actually. Looks like they just want to try to get some EXP leads to get 20 first. Noblesse is up here at the front to try to keep pushing this as well, trying to kind of hide this. They're not really broadcasting this. They're going to get that bot fort now. There's nothing Stitch can do to stop that with this 4-man rotation. It was already very low from before.
Yeah, there was an immediate counter reaction by Snitch here. As the camp was taken, he started moving back. He knows that the fort offers very little real safety in a 1 versus 4 situation. There's many people on the ladder who take too much for granted. Whenever you're behind buildings, you're somehow safe, but that stops the matter when you're 1v4.
Yeah. And TNL behind in EXP, but with all these pushes, I mean, they're going to get 20 first, I think. The funny thing is, because there's still 6 structures up for TNL, they have all forts. The comeback EXP can mean Dignitas, if they win a fight, get ahead in levels, and their scaling might be better for the late game.
Right, they could get into a level 21 versus 20 situation much more easily. An aggressive incursion here into the Fallen Shaman camp.
Yeah, well, oh, the big Sunring actually denies a mosh, but Noblesse could have hit it otherwise. He's just going to back off a Gust for the disengage as well, and they really want this camp, and they will get it.
Vena playing with fire there, but confident of the timing.
You know, wasting Sonya's heroic, she might be able to keep it alive for, or, you know, keep it active for a bit longer, but definitely not going to be necessarily ready for the next fight. But the bigger problem is that Dignitas used Blessed Shield and Sundering here, which have longer cooldowns. They hit 20 first, though. They keep rotating back, getting that EXP. They have these heroics. They have Epic Mount now and Indestructible, which means these fights can go really well for them. TNL needs to try to get that 20 Hiss AP. Oh, SC might get caught here.
SC, wow, where is he going? They will just completely sacrifice him here. I wonder what happened there, a little bit of a mistake. And this is actually really relevant because it gives a super easy clear off the Fallen Shaman. We can see a plan coming out of Team Dignitas
and the
now.
Shrine is up.
I don't think they should focus on the Shrine. They want to get more kills.
Oh, looks like they do. I'll be coming over here to jump onto Jaehyun. He's the healer. He's the support. They want to take him out. Force wall goes down. A lot of damage coming off here from Snitch in the back. Noblesse is actually trying to power slide away as well. Sniper over here may try to use a defensive maw to allow the escape. Looks like they don't need it, but a very aggressive move for Dignitas didn't pay off as much as they wanted to.
Yeah.
But a scary moment for TNL nonetheless.
You know, Epic Mount, Falstad could choose here. Fly in once again and try to just attack someone or defend the Fallen Shaman camp.
A lot of damage being put off onto Bakery. And don't forget the top camp, like you mentioned, is still pushing here. So they didn't gain a whole lot from this engage, in fact. And Sonya up in 15 seconds. Noblesse, again, just kind of zoning, absorbing damage, power sliding away. He's got Rhaegar to keep healing him. Ancestral's still open. Mosh Pit's still open. And Dignitas will, you know, take this lead on these skeletons. I don't know if they can secure it, though. Sonya's now back up, 26-5.
Noblesse, he's going to die. The Sundering is up. Will he use the Sundering? Blessed Shield.
Oh, he gets killed here, and that means no Mosh Pit for the next, and this will absolutely secure this. The Fountain goes down. They're not going to get a keep with that push in the top lane. But TNL, again, kind of on the back foot in a way in this game. They're still down on kills. They have all their structures live, but that means scaling is always going to be better for Dignitas. Yeah, it's tougher to end the game, but that's one advantage they have.
Yeah, I feel like TNL started to come a little bit undone at the stitches here. Ever since SC Sonya there got caught at the top, and they just were unable to mentally give up on the Shrine. Noblesse getting caught there by himself. We see a lot of focus fire on Noblesse, and it becomes possible because both Falstad and Thrall have... Oh no, Thrall doesn't have Giant Killer, but yeah, Falstad has Giant Killer, and ETC as the frontliner there is really going for him.
Oh, big stun here, actually, with this Punisher. Not going to matter too much, as it will get taken out here. And yeah, they're ahead in scaling. They have 21-20. Whatever one is going to be up in just a moment with ETC spawning. They're going to grab this fort down here as well. You know, just small baby steps back into structural. You know, they're basically kind of cutting out the deficit here.
Yeah, and that pocketing speed that you were referencing before, which means they'll probably always be about a level ahead if nothing crazy happens, which means 4% more HP, 4% more auto attack damage, and 4% more ability power by comparison. This is about the power that you get per level.
Yeah, and that's really, really important. it's just like you're 4% better when in every team fight. Oh, that was huge damage actually on that hammering. I don't think I've ever seen that many people get hit by hammering
and
before.
like 7 to 8 bonus stacks on his Gathering Storm hammering damage.
Yeah. All right, looking at this, you know, structures, all the keeps are up for Dignitas. They don't have to worry about a backdoor or anything like that. This game is actually, I think, going to go on for much longer. In fact, neither team could take a big fight. Oh no, Noblesse has to bolt.
Wow.
Oh, an epic mount, but he misses.
The Mighty Gus misses there, but you know, Epic Mount is not a big sacrifice. Mighty Gus maybe. Blessed Shield was also used.
That's true, actually.
And I think, did it miss? Because I see Spell Shield up for ETC, or maybe it just came back.
I think it did. Maybe it missed. I actually didn't see that myself personally, but we could see by the cooldown the Blessed Shield was definitely used, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
One way or the other. But the next shrine is going to be so important.
Now keep in mind that whenever one team gets 2 hero advantage due to a fight, that means they can finish it off. Because the top keep is 80% for Team Dignitas and the wall is gone. And the wall in the middle is gone as well at Team No Limit. And the keep has taken about 10% damage. It's so easy to kill the keep if there's no wall in front of it. Whenever you have 2 members up at least.
So Dignitas set up here. Noblesse is the one who goes to check. He's up at the front.
Oh, give it up, give it up.
Give it up indeed. That was a scary moment for TNL, but Noblesse knew the Fury. He knew everyone was missing. This will give a faster rotation to the Shrine for Dignitas. They can start it faster and get in good position here and get a lead on these skeletons. TNL is rotating down. And this win on this Shrine might get a keep for either team, so it's really, really important. It's going to be the first real core-centric damage that might actually happen.
Yeah, and this is an Arcane Punisher. TNL is so good at manipulating the map. Fallen Shaman Camp once again pushing top keep, and there's absolutely no chance for Team Dignitas to go back there. They have to see this through for at least another 30 seconds, which means their top keep is probably going to die.
That's right.
So let's just write that one off already and say that actually the result of this team fight is going to be key.
It really, really is, especially for Dignitas here. If they lose it, it's big, big problems. JPL taking a lot of damage here. Noblesse going up. Bennett could be in trouble. He actually gets hit by that, but he dives into a void and picks off Jaina. Such a sick move there.
No ice block, no Bolt of the Storm.
Yeah, that's a big problem, and that's actually going to make this fight a 5v4. SC trying to lifesteal up here in the front, but there's no follow-up. Noblesse needs to get a mosh here. He's trying to set one up, but he can't. The splits are so good here for Dignitas, and Sastro goes down here onto SC.
Force Wall! Ignore Pain was already used, but he will get away with the Mystical Spear here. Arcane Punisher has been summoned.
Yep, and this is big for Dignitas. They are going to lose that top keep. As you mentioned, it's out of ammo. It's just going to keep pushing with that Shaman.
And the problem is it will even get core damage potentially, so yeah, he has to go back even though it's already dead.
He's going to, stop this. He has Epic Mount, so he's going to be back in the fight really soon. And Jaina is still down. And Jaina does a ton of damage to this Punisher, can slow it down really easily. There's the jump over the wall, the Force Wall to try to combo with that. Doesn't happen. Nice try, though. It was cute.
TNL looking strangely mortal here as, the demigods of esports.
Oh, no, Big Gust! You're actually right!
No Ignore Pain!
And Sniper gets caught here by the Punisher as well. Jaehyun is in trouble. There's 2 down here for TNL, and it looks like Dignitas may be able to bring this back, in fact. There goes the keep, and the Immortal is on the core, all 5 up. Noblesse comes in for a mosh, but he gets interrupted by the Punisher!
Oh, the Punisher there with the interrupt on the Marsh Pit. Noblesse not getting lucky here with a Marsh Pit, and there finally we see it, another 2 takedowns. And TNL will be defeated
here,
by Dignitas in the 1-1 equalizer.
Dignitas is bringing it to a game 3. Very decisive moves there. The thing that killed me the most was when Wubby actually killed Jaina. He knew that Bolt was on cooldown, and when he saw the Blizzard, instead of running away, he was like, I will kill you instead.
Sometimes the best offense is an offense. No, the best defense is an offense.
That's right.
As, he doesn't have a panic button healer. There's no Ancestral Healing, Divine Palm, or even Cleanse. And he was getting taken out by ETC, who power slide through him. That could have been a one-man mosh pit.
Yeah.
One-man mosh pit, take down Greymane. That's a huge part of Team Dignitas' fighting capabilities. Instead, he did the only thing he could, jumping on Jaina, who did not use either Ice Block or Bolt of the Storm.
Yeah, she died in that moment, just instantly. And I have to say, I think that surprised Chris. At first, I thought they were off cooldown, right? And I think maybe Manny was thinking that as well, but no, I think she just didn't react quickly enough.
I think so.
We'll see actually that fight again in a moment here.
The early game skirmishes looked good for Team No Limit, as you know, Jaina is excellent at getting the pickoffs, especially with that deep chill, the 30% slow on all her frost abilities.
And, you know, Stitch as well, having some really good gusts defensively in the early game. Also, I want to keep reminding everybody, I want to point out again that Dignitas, even though they lost multiple objectives, stayed even in EXP, and then later on in the game took a lead in scaling there at the end.
Yeah,
and had their 20s first.
That's the foul start power, so you can split soak a lot. Epic Mount. It says a lot that players take Epic Mount over something amazing like Nexus Frenzy or the mighty Wind Tunnel.
Yeah. The Wind Tunnel can actually get crazy. You have to use it the right way.
Usually you'll see a situational pick of Wind Tunnel when you're ready to go for a core all-in.
Exactly, you just keep everyone back in the Hall of Storms.
Right, then and only then, usually.
Yeah, sometimes in Korea we've seen it only taken when someone hits 20 while they're coring, and then they're just like, that's
exactly,
it.
Exactly. We usually see the same in the other regions. Very good here by Team Dignitas, for them anyway, that they immediately give up. Here we see that Greymane move on Jaina. It happened so fast.
Yeah, it's tough to say if she was off cooldown. I don't think she was on cooldown though, because I can't remember her bolting anytime recently. Yeah. And then that ETC getting interrupted by the Punisher is just so funny.
Now, in theory, that is predictable because the Punisher has a set time when he's ready to do a jump every time and a jumping stun. So if you kind of have a feel for the time, you could know that he's ready for a jump. But I mean, like, at a 3 versus 5 when your core is dying, are you really thinking about, oh, I shouldn't mush now, let's just wait 4 seconds? No, you got to do it.
Also, if you wait for that second, I mean, you'll probably lose anyways. I mean, even if he got a good mosh, probably game over there. I don't think he's going to be able to save his team, but he's trying, man. And now we're going into game number 3, which is on Battlefield of Eternity. So another map we've seen a lot in this tournament, one of the more popular ones, along with Infernal Shrines. And the drafting here are going to be a bit different. We saw already Tomb of the Spider Queen was very much wave clear dependent and a little bit gank dependent. Then we saw it went into game 2, which was more focused on clearing the skeletons. And we even had Soul Support Tastar there. And then going into game 3, it's going to be more about damage and racing on these Immortals for the objective.
Single target damage, as you said, and also aura effects like Raynor and ETC's aura. You've got the Hunter's Mark, which helps your entire team to do bonus damage. Whenever you play with Tyrande on Battlefield of Eternity, make sure to hit all your high damage abilities right after you see that little shield of invulnerability break apart on the Immortal, and you're going to have a fantastic race.
Yeah.
Now, speaking about racing on Battlefield of Eternity, there's a few ways to play this battleground. You can either defend the Immortal with 5 versus 5 if your opponent is committed to attack, as you do have those stuns to help you out. It's almost like a 6 versus 5 defense.
Yeah.
If you notice your opponent is contributing about 4 players to the attack because the other player is soaking, you can also defend with 4 or sometimes even 3 and get like a double soak action.
Yeah, it's definitely true. You can also kind of have one, when you're attacking and defending your own, you can have one sick auto attacker like kind of racing.
Greymane or
Greymane, Vala, Sonya sometimes. We even see Thrall occasionally, like when he's out of mana, just like Wind Fury, just like trying to do as much as he can, while the rest of the team denies and tries to get a pick.
There's a few unique picks that we see here sometimes, which we've seen in Korea as well. Artanis with amateur opponent now does 150% bonus damage, so 250 of his normal auto attack damage on every twin strike. And if he takes triple strike, that can lead up to about 2,000 damage at level 13. So that's pretty crazy. Another pick we see a lot is Abathur.
Yeah, Abathur is really popular on this map because of his nest, his toxic nest. You place him all over the map, you get vision. If someone actually walks into that or gets caught into that, sometimes what Abathur could do as well is set up a toxic nest on the retreat pass and set up for a gank, and then you think you're out, you're like, oh, I'm good, and then you walk into the nest and die. So it's a very powerful build that we see from Abathur sometimes. Does allow Illidan play as well because he's another one of those auto attackers that actually does really well as solo on top of these Immortals. Kind of phased out of the meta a little bit, but you know, a few months ago we were seeing him a lot on this map.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, at BlizzCon, where Team DK last had a very big international showing, a top 4, they drafted against Team Tempo Storm a composition of Illidan, Chen, Abathur.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. Abathur there to empower Illidan's strength. And Chen and Illidan as a double diver to spiral fights out of control. That did not work, by the way. Tempo Storm countered that with Brightwing, Jaina Zeratul composition. But yeah, here we go. We might see a surprise Abathur. We see him very little recently, but it could be a pocket pick, like a secret weapon kind of. if we do see an Abathur coming out later, look for bans like Zeratul or Falstad maybe to come out early, as these are the best Abathur counters.
Yeah. All right, first ban here for TNL. There's a lot of things they can ban here. They're going to take Tastar away actually from Bakery, which is a really, it's almost like a respect ban, I feel, in this case. And the funny thing is, I feel like Bakery was not the carry of that last game, so interesting ban here. Now, Tastar is like not horrible versus on this map, like he can actually do a lot of damage with repeated Psy Storms.
And I think the mental acuity part is pretty strong. You see both Vision heroes being removed here, Tastar and Zagara. So it makes it so easy to understand what your opponent is doing, how they are trading.
Yeah, with Tastar off the map, it makes Zeratul more powerful as well, which they do like to play. They like to use him like MVP Black does as like a mobile ward. And that's something that we see a lot of the time when SC is playing him, as well as Rich. Thrall is going to be taken first. It's going to be the strong soul laner with the Zagara ban here. Muradin will be taken for Dignitas, of course, as a result. And ETC, really popular on this map. They're going to take double tank right from the beginning. This is a rare way to draft. You usually pick one or the other based on bans.
Exactly. This is extremely rare. Like, we haven't seen Muradin ETC, I think, once on the same team here. And if it would happen, you would expect it to be a little bit spread out. Taking both of those immediately is super interesting.
Yeah, crazy moving here, looking a bit stumped by that initially when it was picked. This really weakens the tank lineup that TNL can actually have. And I think they almost have to pick a tank now if they're worried about that, because otherwise the tanks they're thinking about, you know, for example, Johanna is going to get banned in the next ban phase.
Sure, yeah. Diablo, Johanna, you wouldn't take Diablo at this phase. Maybe even not Johanna.
This is a really interesting draft strat that Dignitas pulls out here in Game 3, which means they really are not afraid to show this move. They want basically TNL to be destroyed. They want to go to the winner's match. They know this is a tough group for them with 2 Korean teams in it, so I think they want that winner's match security.
Now, Thrall Greymane is a very popular pairing in Korea. Together, they have an extremely hard engage, usually on Liming, but you usually see Liming on the other side, even despite Thrall and Greymane being there, which are threats to her, just because they are such good player killer heroes that Liming gets reset.
Yeah, and they're squishy basically, you know, they're going to die quick. But TNL will take Liming. I talked about the weakness of a draft where you have 3 damage dealers, but the tanks were taken away from them, so it's not so much the case. Leoric is taken away from Noblesse. This is almost going to surely force a Johanna pick. We could see SC on Arthas.
I don't think
unlikely, but you know.
I don't think this is a good ban. I feel like they should have banned Tyrael. You've got these heroes which are very squishy but huge damage. I think TNL will gratefully accept Tyrael here. Maybe Tyrael Uther. So I think this is a little weak, Leoric.
Well, they're going to take Jaina away from Dignitas.
Of course, sorry, Leoric is great against Muradin and ETC, as he is a real tank buster. So actually, that makes a little bit more sense.
It makes sense in that case, yeah, because they have to take an off tank here. The tank, or when I say off tank, I mean a tank they're not as familiar with the 2 main tanks coming up here. And you know, we've seen Noblesse play some good Leoric. We've seen him play some SC, or excuse me, some Tyrael in the past. I don't know why that was like not coming to my head.
Okay, so Uther is a very obvious pick here, potentially, to combine it with Moshpit.
Yeah. Sonya comes up as their soul
triple
laner.
warrior.
And with Sonya here, obviously you're going to do a ton of single target damage to the Immortals. You're going to win that race a lot of time. You've got the attack speed buff from ETC.
This is so cool. We see this entire warrior isolation from Dignitas, and TNL entirely about assassins.
Yeah.
What will win? Full assassin team or full warriors?
There's Falstad coming up, so Uther is still available for TNL to take away. Uther would be so strong here, but what if they grab Uther Tyrael like you were saying before? There's just
double
so much
invulnerability. Yeah, that will be extremely powerful. Another option is maybe Johanna, but yeah, I don't feel like Johanna is possible. We've got 1 interrupt from Thrall on Moshpit. We've got Wave of Force potentially. Tyrael wouldn't do it. Uther could if he Divine Shields himself or he cleanses someone. And Johanna then indeed is another option.
Johanna coming in with the Uther.
Okay.
Johanna is going to bring in a lot of lockdown, I guess, in these fights. The big stuns can counter ETC as well with the Blessed Shield on the Mosh Pits.
So now Kharazim seems to be the most obvious choice. It
Yeah.
could also be Morales, as Dignitas is, I wouldn't say they're low on damage, but a Stim Falstad could be pretty good.
You know what? Malfurion seems like not a bad pick either because his heals are like slower. They're not burst heals, but they like give more value
Warriors
over time.
don't need it.
Exactly. So you have like tranquility in a fight like that goes longer as well. It can keep the heroes alive.
On the other hand, we've got such a huge burst damage from TNL with Thrall, Greymane, Liming that Uther has a bit of a risk. He doesn't have Relentless. He doesn't get Ice Block until level 13. I don't know. Kharazim is the safest. Malfurion makes the most sense for his own team, but I feel like Kharazim makes the most sense for the opponent team.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. I think I would like to see Malfurion here. I think he can make this tank comp have so much more sustain. Bakery gives a smile as to maybe he's decided just closing it out here.
Maybe Malfurion with the Moonfire build. Bakery has been playing this a lot on his stream. Maybe that's why he's smiling. He's like, you want me to kill everyone with Moonfire? Sure.
Well, with all these squishies, man, if you get a good root and then in comes Sonya and you get the good Moonfire damage, that's the build I do when I play. And they're going to take Tyrande instead. They don't need burst healing, as you mentioned before, so this could set up some really cool...
No, they actually do need burst healing, I think.
You think
Thrall,
so?
Greymane, Liming.
I think like what Tyrande can offer here is a lot of ambush potential once she gets her heroic.
It's the offensive choice.
Yeah.
They're not thinking defensively here.
Right. I think if they can keep the fights going alive, they can actually set up good engages. They won't need the burst heal because no one's going to be able to burst them down because they're going to be always out positioning, rotating the weakened tank to the back.
They're the ones moving in here.
It depends on how well TNL plays this comp. Like, they could burst people down. It's all about who gets outplayed here. And games like this, we have every now and then Korea with 3 warrior comp versus like these big assassins. And it usually ends up being really long games because team fights don't end and people disengage, they go tap, they come back. This is going to be a really fun one for sure.
So sick to see this. I'm starting to think about the talents already. Of course, Tyrande has healing, pretty good healing, but even ETC can pick up groupies, and with such a heavy front line, I think he might.
Yeah, definitely so. But guys, let's jump into game number 3 on Battlefield of Eternity to find out which one of these teams is going to the winner's match. Blue side, Bakery on Tyrande, JPL is on Muradin, Snitch on Sonya, Mene on Falstad, and Bubby is going to be playing ETC. And for TNL, Crazy moving on Li Ming. SCSC is, I don't even know what that skin is. I think he's on Thrall, actually. And Greymane is going to be played by Sniper. I saw him, Sniper Noblesse is on Johanna, and Jaehyun will be on Uther. So I was correct on that SC call. I was using that funny mount and that skin.
Look at this, the Tiger build coming out of Uther. Going for a block. Tiger, one of the Chinese players here in attendance. Oh, they're doing my strat, going for the gate. No, they're not going to attack the gate.
No. This is actually really interesting, though.
5 man on Li Ming. Li Ming already showed where she is, so that they know Li Ming will never be solo lane bot. Oh, okay, I thought they were actually going to 5 man.
They have a ton of CC on their team. Like, if they get a target, there's almost no way TNL's going to escape early game ganks with a squishy. It's just not going to happen. Before that, she can actually survive or escape, she will be killed in these fights. Something to keep in mind when we look at this comp with all the tankiness, obviously Dignitas isn't going to die anytime soon. It's going to take like a lot longer for anyone to be burst, and that does give them the opportunity to kind of retreat and heal. But what are they lacking? They're really lacking damage. I wonder what kind of build we're going to see out of Mene here on Falstad for that extra damage, because he's the main damage thrower, and he might go auto attacks because of the Hunter's Mark on Tyrande. Li Ming does get killed here, as I was trying to remember exactly what the talent name was or the trait name.
Yeah, Li Ming so far out of position here that she becomes an easy pick-off. It looks like Bakery will be going for the full Sentinel build. He picked up Empower at level 1, which is a cooldown reduction every time he hits someone with his Owl, which pairs up really well with Pierce at level 4, able to keep scouting. Even if you hit someone, it will travel through and damage everyone, which is also a multiple cooldown reduction for every target you hit. Now, Falstad has said, okay, this is not a big laning map. I'm going to go for Gathering Storm, which will probably lead to either Power Throw or Flow Rider at level 4, and then at level 7, the Boomerang, so the full mage stat build.
Yeah. Well, the Hunter's Mark, someone you can actually hit that and do it decently well with that as well. TNL now going to race these Punishers, or these Immortals rather, and a pretty close race so far. Mene wasn't even here, though, and that means that they might actually be able to push this down. We're going to have switched positions. A slight lead to TNL, like 400 health.
Yeah, and the way that Dignitas is going to deal with this is attack. of course, a warrior comp cannot kill it as quickly as an assassin comp.
And they got there first, that's why they were ahead, but they need to invade now, and with their warrior comp, they can definitely do that. It's not as risky.
And Falstad is the dedicated auto attacker here to attack the Immortal. Bakery getting all in, they choose the right target. Lunar Flare on Greymane!
Oh, it saves him for a moment, but Jaehyun comes in and picks up the kill. Big stun going down onto Snitch here, though. He's trying to lifesteal his way to survival.
No way!
And SC actually does not go and chain lightning him here. Crazy Moving will survive as well, and JPL is very, very low. Well, he's going for the finish off, and he does get that kill. JPL will survive.
Now, Sonya was in the end finished off by SCSC's Chain Lightning. Mena being forced to pull off here to save his teammates, and it will be a very close victory to TNL here for the Immortal.
Yeah. Really good engages, though, and you could see the potential for Dignitas to actually come in here and do, with all these CCs, a big engage. The Lunar Flare there for Bakery to actually buy him some life there, buy him some time, was really why Dignitas got such a good trade in that fight.
Yeah, I feel like he probably pressed Alt-E, which is a self-cast of an ability. In this case, Lunar Flare on himself, which is pretty cool. If you're going to get jumped, you can try to use that key combination if you didn't know about it. I know there's always a few people who find out about it.
Yeah, you can do that with any offensive ability that has like an area like that, like even Jaina's Blizzard, for example.
Or like Murky's Pufferfish, which removes the cast time of the Pufferfish. It's pretty cool. Same with Arcane Flare on Brightwing, immediately drops it on yourself without the travel time.
Well, this push here with this Immortal not going to be the most powerful. It just gets the wall, the cannons, and, you know, a third of health here on this keep. Obviously, there's more damage for TNL, so, you know, and with basically a bunch of melee tanks, you can't really kind of poke and defend it. You do have to take a lot of damage. It wasn't the most successful, but it did get a lot of the keep, which is not normal.
Yeah, 2 towers and about 40% on that fort is quite a good result. More takedowns on the side of Team Dignitas means that the XP is still equal.
This is true, and you know, Dignitas leading in kills with the siege damage ahead for TNL, actually just like our Spider Queen game.
Look at that, the Sentinel reveals the 4-man of TNL up there, and they immediately run down in vision of the Sentinel, which makes it seem like they're going to rotate down, but instead they circle back around when the vision is gone and try to get a gank here, 4 versus 3. Pretty clever movement, but of course, Dignitas, if they're smart, they also know that if someone moves away when there's vision immediately, they're also telling a story, and this time it was a lie.
Good reactions, though, you know?
Yeah, for both teams.
7 hit for both teams at the exact same time. This game couldn't be closer right now. As these teams, we were just looking at the way the talents are being built, and we were looking at the way the EXP is coming down. They're both trading camps at almost the exact same time. A little bit faster here, actually, on the Impalers for Dignitas. And TNL is going to go up and take theirs a bit slower here. I think there's a little bit of extra pressure for Dignitas.
Sentinel once again reveals the position of TNL, but they don't have enough people to jump on that. But it does mean that they know they're 3 versus 2 at the bottom, which makes them very confident to push with this Fallen Shaman camp.
Yeah, the Fallen Shaman just pushes it forward up at the front. The Impaler's going to start pushing it down as well. The Immortals are about to spawn, so this will give Dignitas more time to get into a good position, which is so important with their triple warrior comp to come in and set up some of that CC. Oops. It happens to everybody.
Actually, it gives her some fury. It's kind of smart.
I guess so. For Snitch especially, yeah. Multiple roots here, and he gets rooted by the Immortal as well. A big dash in. Snitch up here trying to lifesteal himself to health, but 2 are down, and that's a big problem here.
Yeah, that was so good. The root and the stun as the circle was appearing meant that Muradin was going to get a lockdown by the stun of the Immortal, and this is probably just going to give a huge advantage to TNL in the trade.
That it will. A lot of damage being done here, of course. They have the more damage in their comp. They have 5 versus 3 when it comes to the race. Dignitas will kind of eliminate some of the shields here. Everyone is back up to life. They could look for another engage. They still have, again, like so much CC. If they can isolate a target, one of these squishies, Li Ming, Thrall, Greymane, if they can isolate a target and kill it, they can win a fight.
And I think they need to try that. Like, the reason they're defending is because they're looking for a fight. They don't have as good of a trade. Their Immortal has more damage, and they are the kind of team that needs to engage in. With 3 warriors, you need to go. And their target is going to be something like Greymane or Li Ming. They've revealed all the locations. Bakery with the Sentinel. Are they going to be moving in? How far do they dare to go? Oh, nice teleport away by Crazy Moving.
Really nice teleport here. JPL taking a lot of damage. Has to Dwarf Toss away. SC actually not afraid of anything here up at the front. A big orb hitting onto Snitch. But SC will actually be killed here. Will be up in the front lines as well. Trying to zone out Noble S. But he does go down himself.
The stuns of the Immortal are zoning out a little bit here, but it looks like Snitch may be able to fall prey to TNL here. Gets away though.
And this is going to be the first Immortal. Mene actually will go home, stays alive there, which is really important. But TNL going to grab this Immortal with 14k remaining shields. A very big and powerful Punisher push coming down to the bot. They already have damaged these cannon towers quite significantly, as well as the wall. So this could be a strong push, and they're going to do it on level 10.
I feel like TNL really understands how to use mercenary camps. After watching these games, every time the objective starts, they've got the advantage there. The Impalers were once again pushing the top fort, which is down to 20%. And Thrall, he's not coming down here. So I feel like maybe he will finish it off, but I wonder if that's a mistake. They've already got level 10. They could jump in here pretty hard. He is going to go for that top fort, but that means that they will not get a super great fight here at the bottom, TNL.
Oh, there was a really, really nice Stone Skin there for Noblesse, staying alive there. Iron Skin, I should say. This is going to be the first fort here. Wave of Force being chosen for Li Ming, I think so smart given the situation. They want to disrupt all that CC, and obviously Disintegrate is not going to kill these tanks very well at all. So really smart choice here. He thought about it for a little while, took it there. Good adaptation on the fly here versus this composition. Oh, big Shadow Stalk. They're going to try to pick off SC, but he will get away.
No leap coming out is always a possibility, but they're going for the staying power instead. Wrath of the Berserker means better trades on the Immortal. You can stick around longer. You can shrug off crowd control effects with a half, effectiveness.
And TNL is starting to take a lead in that EXP with that second push, which means they're going to have 13 faster. They're going to get this top Impaler camp. A big invade potential, though, for Dignitas. They're setting up for it.
Question is, do you owl or not? They do not use Sentinel because they don't want to reveal that they're here.
Exactly. They didn't want TNL to know that they knew they were there. A gust for the disengage is so important. It's actually going to push the Impalers back as well. A nice little hammering drop down there. But even though TNL didn't know that they were coming right away, they sensed it, they reacted, they positioned accordingly.
Yeah, like even when you're moving around the map without any care in the world, or I should say without knowledge of where your opponent is, you gotta keep your position, like Johanna, always in the most risky position, kind of bottom left there of their army. And as long as you keep that, nothing can surprise you.
Yeah.
Stay paranoid.
They also knew there was no one in the bot lane, and that means that this, I mean, that's how they know for sure this could happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they have no vision of anyone in top either. So, there's 5-man. Where are they going?
What are you doing?
They're coming
like
for us.
You're staying in the core.
I do like the point you mentioned about the not using the owl though.
I mean, how many people would be like, oh, I can get 4-man hit on owl, buff my damage stat. But if you already know where the opponent is, don't give it away.
Yeah, just don't. All right, well, this push down here to the bot, not going to be able to hit a keep, but Impalers are coming. If Dignitas ends up messing up this fight, they are down in talent here. If they get sloppy and lose a member or two, it could be a keep kill. And Stitch is still staying in the top lane. Or actually, it's not Stitch this time, it's Wubby up there, on the, or not even Wubby, it's Mene up there on Falstad. So many different people playing Falstad on this team.
That's true. Wubby used to be a support, then he became a damage, now he's on tank, sure. Let's call it a flex.
Yeah, everybody's pretty flexible on Dignitas, one of their strengths. And the Impalers will finally be cleaned up. Looks like Dignitas wants more than that. Stepping forward past them here for an engage. Oh, huge hit there on Snitch. He's been hit by quite a few orbs this game.
I think Dignitas is going to need their level 13, I mean, obviously, but that's going to help a lot with their groupies. I mean, I don't see ETC taking anything else than that. They could really use it. Oh, Lunar Flare hit. Iron Skin coming out. Uther's near enough. Very nice positioning there by Uther.
Yeah, he knew that if this was going to happen, he needed to be there. Shadow Stalk comes down, but I don't think they can actually make anything of this. TNL's just going to totally walk away, disengage. And Dignitas is finding themselves up the creek without a paddle. Although a big burst going down on Uther, and he will die. No Divine Shield indeed.
It went from 100% to 0. I couldn't do anything. Baby Rage like Uther completely got taken out there. Nice move. Even though the Shadow Stalk ambush didn't work, what does it take for a team to understand that with level 12 versus 13 they can move in? It's a really cool insight.
Yeah, it's insight. It's also something that TNL wouldn't expect as much, so it's risky, but when you're behind, you got to take risks.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I feel like almost Dignitas needs to just do as much damage as possible on the Immortal. Maybe with everyone, because they're definitely not going to win this war, right?
I don't think so. I mean, they're looking for, like, trying to get the zone off, a pickoff maybe of these aggressive members coming in. SCSC Wind Furying out of the Lunar Flare, coming in and actually dropping down that Chain Lightning as well. And they will get this about 9,500, 8,900 hit points left, so big shield.
I feel like I was right with what I just said, because there's so much poke on Li Ming and Thrall. When I said it, there was still, like, 10,500 HP. They only did about 1,500 damage on the Immortal, while losing 5,000 of their own damage. So even though it was a 5 versus 4, if they just went with all 5 members doing the Immortal, this shield would have been half as big.
Yeah, they were like camping on the defense, but they couldn't find anything.
When the opponent has such good poke, greatly leaving Thrall, then there is no true defense that will work when your Immortal has like less than 10,000 health.
They're not going to walk in, they're just going to keep using their spells.
Right.
They're going to ability damage power it down, which doesn't work versus a high health Immortal, but this one was so low that there was just no way. They should have tried to stop the shields.
Right. Mystical Spear coming out so that Sonya has an escape. We've got the Overflowing Light on Tyrande, bigger burst heal, and that groupies from ETC for the supplementary heals.
Yep, just like you said, you called it. The Immortal is now on to this keep. It's tough for TNL to continue to push. They're just going to use that poke that we were talking about. And it's so frustrating. The poke is so annoying that Mene just doesn't even want to handle it anymore. He actually gusts away. They're still very close to getting this keep. Here comes the engage. Wubby tries to go in for that mosh pit, but Wave of Force knocks him out. Sundering goes down, and he will be killed. He's the first one.
Reset on Li Ming, jumping aggressively with Calamity onto Tyrande, but will get saved by Divine Shield after the Lunar Flare hits.
Yeah, and that was really, really well timed. I mean, he almost died before that. Mene actually trying to grab another hit here with that Hammerang, but not able to get the damage done. Noblesse is low, but he gets healed, and Dignitas is just going to have to let them walk away. They hit 16 with this. They killed a fort, or rather a keep, which means the top lane is always going to be pushed, and even with Impalers initially.
Wow, I'm a little surprised and in a good way and intrigued by the talent choice of Thrall at level 13. He went for Spell Shield. Like normally, triple warrior, you take Giant Killer, right? But Thrall understands that he can't just jump in too much because warriors, they don't just represent high health pools that you need to power through, they also represent the best crowd control in the game. The best crowd controls from warriors, second one is supports usually, and the third one is assassins, with specialists usually not having too much of it. So he's respecting that he can't go in too easily. And that Spell Shield has saved him a number of times.
Yeah, I mean, it's also great versus Lunar Flares. It's also great versus the damage that you can see from Mene's explosions on his Boomerang. So that's the kind of stuff where Spell Shield's going to really save you.
Look at this Bakery once again moving in with the Shadow Stalk on Li Ming. Will they get the full combo? Yes, immediately.
Sundering goes down, but there's a big gust to actually lock them down, and he gets the mosh pit this time, and that's 2 dead already. TNL on the retreat. Jaehyun does get hit by that Ancient Spear. Looks like they're going to zone and body block Uther out here. It's actually going to have to, or rather, excuse me, Thrall. He's going to have to be Divine Shield, which means that's a long wasted cooldown here. 2 for none, and they are going to get 16 very soon, and they're up 2 for a decently, long death timer here for TNL to start the beginning of this fight.
Yeah, so well done by Team Dignitas there. Keep in mind that Jaehyun, do you know that he used Cleanse on Greymane?
Yeah.
Even though he was surrounded with double wall of meat. Mosh pit in a single corner with 5 people standing around. He used Cleanse on that. He went unstoppable and then he died. Which means it is still on about a 20-second cooldown now. And that's also why he had to use Divine Shield on Thrall.
Exactly.
He could have cleansed Thrall and Thrall would have been able to run away with Wind Fury, but now that led to the Divine Shield
Looks like
being used.
TNL wants to come in here and be aggressive. A lot of the cooldowns are up, including Mosh Pit. Gust is back active, of course, one of the shortest cooldowns in the game. And here comes the aggressive move for TNL. Again, going to start poking. And when you defend against this poke comp, yeah, it's a long way away from it now, but eventually you start losing. So they want to take another pick. Here comes Wubby up at the front. Power slides in. Sniper gets caught. Does get back, though. Another Gust to disengage. A Blessed Shield, though, is wasted here.
So cool, the Mighty Gust, as Iron Skin was used to isolate Johanna to the front and send the other 3 damage dealers away.
Yeah, I mean, the Blessed Shield could have been a nice follow-up if it hit more, but it just wasn't good there at the end of the day. TNL up a level here, but that is it. Still has Sundering.
Every heroic except Avatar is on about a 20-second cooldown here. Thrall didn't have Spell Shield, so Divine Shield will need to be used to save him.
Oh, good position here for Wubby. He doesn't have Mosh, but he's still going to be able to lock down SC. SC may get taken out here. He's being healed repeatedly. He dodges the Lunar Flare. This is really huge. He gets stunned once more, but he's actually up at the fray in the fight. Wubby going to go ahead and do that face melt to get the kill. And a huge blow here into that wall gives him another explosion on that Boomerang.
That Mighty Gust was so good because Team Dignitas gave everything they had to kill Thrall, who just wouldn't seem to die. and it looked like there might be a huge counterattack there by TNL. A number of people were about 30% life, so that gust was just excellent.
The gust knocked them into the wall as well, and which wouldn't have been ideal because he wanted them further away, but when they hit the wall, he still capitalized on it with that activatable hammering.
Yeah.
And then that really made the TNL even take more damage, some of them actually going back to tap afterwards.
It's a 5 versus 4 situation. Everyone's back. Moshpit is available. Mighty Gust is back again. Lobby with the flank. Going all the way around.
Oh, big Noblesse condemned, though. There's a Blessed Shield as well.
Oh, the Mighty Gust into the Moshpit!
Oh, Moshpit here so powerful. Uther is far away. 20 seconds left on Divine Shield as well, but another good condemn here for Noblesse. And now the resets are starting to be active. Bakery's in trouble. He tries to hide himself here. He will escape for now and does get a nice little flare.
Wow, Li Ming! 10% life, 5%. JPL going in for the kill.
Let's get the kill. Sniper has no fear. He has no health, but he does get healed, and he will kill JPL. Wubby now on the retreat. Bakery trying to give a little bit more vision. Sniper runs in. Oh! Kill him! The snipes for Bakery in these games that we're seeing from him. Whenever he plays Lunar, or God, why always keep calling Lunar? Tyrande.
So on point here, so sick.
I have no idea why that's a thing in my brain, but it just happens. And
okay, there we go, finally with a miss. SCSC.
He has to be invulnerable here. A Snitch, very, very low, actually using his heroic, will spear away. And TNL is a very low immortal, 3,000 left. They shouldn't be this aggressive, I feel.
Oh my god, the Lunar Flare hitting once again, healing himself up with the Frost Wall of Resilience trade, the Chain Lightning. But now, Jaehyun, completely out of mana. And finally, 3,000 HP. This is it. Shadowstalk engaged once again. Mena, full effectiveness. Lunar Flare misses.
Wubby's up in the front here. Jaehyun does survive, but they will get this immortal. And, it was so risky for TNL to keep delaying there, but they wanted their respawns. They wanted to have everyone back for the defense, but it just didn't work. Luckily for them, no one died there.
Now, let's talk about that Moshpit again. Super cool move. Wubby wraps around the top. Mena, good synergy. Mighty Gust people into an object. Not just anywhere where people might be spread out, into an object, so they are slowed for 3 seconds by 50%. The Moshpit comes in with the power slide. It's a 3-man interrupt. Uther, he cannot Hammer of Justice because he cannot get in range. What he did is a cleanse on Li Ming, which gave her 1 second of unstoppability and an immediate wave of force, and that's in the end what cancelled the Moshpit. That was a really cool move there.
Big Gust again zones out TNL, so this is going to be a Fort Dead here for Dignitas. Again, they don't have much poke with this composition, so when they win these immortals, they don't accomplish as much as what TNL has.
You either go in or you don't, and looks like actually now they might want to go in. Is there anyone exposed?
Oh, Noblesse and Li Ming as well. It does get Stormbolt, and there's a Lunar Flare! There's a kill, and SC is actually body blocked out here. He's going to be the next to go down with a bonus on him as well.
No time for Sundering, it was cancelled.
And this is a big problem. A lot of the members of Dignitas are low, and they only have Tyrande as their healer. They will back off, but it's 2 men down. And they're getting closer and closer to the level 20s. Nice pickoffs there. The body blocking insane. And Bakery is missing no Lunar Flares. He did miss that one, but basically no Lunar Flares in this game.
This is so sick. You did promise fireworks with these kind of drafts against each other, as it seems so equal. 12 versus 9 takedowns, the game going to the late. We see some Battlefield of Eternity games ending at level 16 versus 13. Just one strong Immortal push, but there's so much threat from each team. In that gank there, with the Shadowstalk gank, I was almost afraid that Mena had given away their position. Did you see that? He threw a hammer into a wall, just for vision or something. Li Ming, realizing her danger, started moving away, and then the Lunar Flare still hit. It was so sick.
And I think she got Stormbolted as well before that as well, so just kind of chained everything together. This isn't going to work out against Iron Skin here, but still a nice attempt by Wubby there. Immortal spawn in 20 seconds. Level 20 is up for Dignitas. They have Rewind for Muradin, so he's so much more of a powerhouse. Epic Mount as well.
And then we've got the Hunter Swiftness, which is 30% bonus movement speed on Shadowstalk, and they're going to use that.
Here they go. Iron Skin again saving Noblesse here, so no pick off, but they zone everybody out, and Crazy Moving actually takes a little bit of damage. He's even going to tap before he goes to this next fight. They will have the better setup as they are here first, and TNL is trying to hit 20. Some indecision here from TNL, in fact.
So that Spell Shield gone on Johanna by ETC, and he's going to start zoning for a while. ETC is a big threat. He also has Bolt of the Storm, so he can't really be caught too easily. He's got Speed Metal.
Yeah, all those escapes. And TNL don't want to get split up here. These little holes in the map can cause a big problem when someone like Wubby is coming in to go for these power slides. JPL moving in as well here. SC in a bit of trouble.
Spell shield is gone on Thrall, so he becomes a valid target suddenly.
Snitch taking a lot of damage though. Crazy moving as well with a great wave of force.
Yeah, repulsion, double knockback, double distance. It is an amazing initiation. It kind of pushed Sonya to the front there, but no capitalization yet. But guess what? It's back in 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's such a short cooldown on that ability. Now we're going to see for the first time TNL is moving in to do a little bit more damage. This is a little bit more concrete. Even SC doing some auto attacks in melee range. But they're going to back off now. And they know they've lost a few of these fights with losing some of their squishies early on. It looks like TNL's lost some confidence even in some of these engagements.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're no longer being as aggressive. They kind of keep defending
and
waiting for an engage.
It's Dignitas that moves in every time with that Hunter swiftness, and Wubby with the wraparounds.
Noblesse up in here on the front. Does drop down to Condemn.
This is not a good fight for Dignitas. So far, every fight they've won was with either with Hunter swiftness or with ETC wrapping around. When his position is so broadcasted, it's difficult for them to get the right positioning. So they're backing off for now. And what Taronda needs to do now is land a few Sentinels to reset her cooldown. She's got 40-second cooldown now on... you just saw a double empower hit there. Removing cooldown for that.
Miss Lunar Flare here. Wubby taking a lot of damage, but damage being put off on the sniper. He wants to go in and get the kill on Wubby, but Wubby just bolts away perfectly there. Does get away. SC's not going to get the kill. There goes down to Sundering. JPL, the only person hit, though. Stitch at the front to help zone for him. And I don't think they're going to secure any kills here. TNL wants one, but they can't have it.
Ignore Pain was already used. Very short. Dwarf thought the repulsion on
JPL.
JPL.
The repulsion so huge. JPL still escapes, though. Stitch at the front nearly gets a kill on Sniper. It's actually Muradin who dies first, though. Noblesse continues to chain the Condemns together.
And there's another reset for Li Ming, getting that kill on JPL's Muradin. Can they do it?
Wubby comes in. Mosh Pit is active. He's got it. It just got rejected. He's got 10 seconds cooldown on it, but he can use it again in just a moment. The Immortal still has 16k health. Sonya is killed.
And this is a 3 versus 5. It's desperate straights. The keep is too low. If this Immortal goes to TNL, it's game over, lights out.
Now that it is, a big stun goes down. Bakery is dead. Sniper doing so much damage here. Wubby going to see what he can do, but even Amash isn't going to do much for him here. He's going to go down as well, and that means only Mene is alive, and he's defending the top push, which has been going on this entire time because they had that early keep kill.
Yeah, it was a catch-22 at this point, Wolf. If you give away an Immortal with half shields at this point, when your keep has about 1 HP, and there you see, and you've got 2 people still down, you're not going to be able to defend. Yeah. Was that a throw mosh pit? No, it wasn't really. I mean, it served no purpose, but not doing it would also not have served any purpose.
Of course.
Almost. Maybe, yeah, but like even if you get a mosh pit at your core and you get 4 people in it and Falstad somehow kills 2 to 3, the Immortal's going to finish it by himself. So that's a GG. TNL will be able to finish this series off 2-1.
That's right. I mean, that's it. All you need is, I mean, we're at 25 minutes into the game. Insanely long death timers. Dignitas isn't even going to defend because they call GG. They're going to be... professionally, no matter what they did, they lose the game anyways to the Immortal with half health at this scaling into the game. But a good showing by Dignitas versus this Korean team. They brought it to a game 3. They used a unique comp in that game 3, and really, they almost won the game. It was a very close game. The lost keep at the top lane caused them a lot of problems, and they couldn't consistently engage. Like, some of their engagements were beautiful and perfect, but they couldn't do it every time.
Yeah, exactly. In this final... running up to the eventual fight, ETC was in the front line, and whenever he was not a surprise, he was not able to get as good of an engage. And this fight was happening for a while, and you know what? TNL was forcing it. They put the pressure on the Immortal with the insane poke that they had. They say eventually we'll get it, but that wasn't enough for them. They wanted to maintain close contact. Johanna, the way that Johanna was moving in and out of combat and constantly keeping tabs on the opponent meant that there was not the time to do like a Shadowstalk ETC wraparound, so very nicely played there by TNL. They got their stuff together, were able to close this one out.
It's like they started to really figure out how to respond to these engages and these aggressive attacks from Dignitas. They did struggle in a few of those fights, sometimes they were out of position, but they started to learn how to do it. And we saw Sniper gain some real confidence in the late game as well, jumping into these targets, finishing them off, or forcing them to hearth home so then they could actually do more poke damage to the Immortal. And we're just going to see a recap of some of these fights. You know, it was basically once they hit 10, that's when they had their heroics. That's when they tried to force these fights with their aggressive heroics and their stun lockdowns. This game is almost like the definition of stun lock, right, for Dignitas. They just keep stunning, slowing, pushing, knockback. They're basically just trying to cut one member out, get these picks.
But the point of the Dignitas comp is that they'll always have 3 people attacking one target, and that made Wave of Force kind of cool. It doesn't do as much damage as Disintegrate. It's about 300 to 400 damage on the Wave of Force. But what it does, Mosh Pit Interrupt, and also a nice hit on all those targets. It also frees up Li Ming from doing that, being able to do that Calamity build, which landed her some kills. And if you can survive to level 20, Repulsion becomes insane level.
Yeah, Repulsion was used for kills in the late game. You know, we saw them use it to actually secure several different kills and actually just kind of hold people back. This was a crazy fight here.
Yeah.
JPL goes in, and Sniper's like, nah, I'm going to kill you. I'm not afraid. He gets healed. And then ended up being a 2-for-1 there. This was the move.
Almost thought he gave it away there with that Hammerang, but they still managed to get that Li Ming kill. As you said, Stormbolt first.
Yep, and then SC gets taken out as well, and that gives them a lot more flexibility for the follow-up fights here. This is a really long game, and fatigue, I think, came into effect maybe in this game as well. The engages for Dignitas weren't as good towards the very end of the game.
Yeah, the theoretical amount of time from science, sources unquoted, is about 20 minutes of concentration. That's about what a general human will, like perfect concentration, right? There's always relative concentration, but about 20 minutes, and it starts to waver a little bit due to fatigue.
And I think Dignitas' comp requires a lot more coordination, to be honest, than TNL's. Like they have to. It's like not like everyone starts to get fatigued, but if it affects if you're fatigued and you're trying to make these calls on these really tough engages, you know your opponents are fatigued or your teammates are fatigued. Your opponents are just kind of like, oh, they don't have it together right now. We know how to defeat this. We know what their plan is.
Yeah, but I think for TNL also, like they have to be so on point with preventing that wraparound. I actually think it's pretty much equal, probably, right?
That's true.
Like Johanna, if she overextends just a little bit, doesn't have Iron Skin on cooldown, she becomes an easy target, like pre-level 20. And then Li Ming constantly have to have the Hawk's Eye of where to land that Wave of Force, preventing the ETC wraparound. And when Shadowstalk turns on, everyone turns invisible. It's really hard to see which warrior is which.
Yeah,
so it's so difficult to
That's definitely
with.
true. Everyone's just kind of a big blob there. It's almost impossible to tell. I have to give Bakery like my MVP award out of all 10 of these players. The Lunar Flares were just, he missed like 1 or 2, but every important one that really mattered, that turned the fight, he just kept hitting them when it mattered most, and his team needed that because he's like the ranged stun with that, and he locks them down for that 1 more second for everyone else to get into position for that face melt to hit. Really, really important there.
I really liked Li Ming's play there. Who was playing on Li Ming again? Was Crazy moving? Oh no, Crazy.
Crazy. It was Crazy moving on
Crazy moving, playing pretty crazy there. He knew exactly when to jump in with Calamity. He had Calamity and Illusionist, but not Diamond Skin. Did have the dominance, so jumping in there like all the way to the back line, but still getting out thanks to Illusionist was pretty cool to see. And that Wave of Force was very key in this match, I feel like.
Yeah, and this actually does mean we have a Korea versus Korea winners match here in this group. So
as MVP Black managed to have a 2-0 victory, right, over Team Naventic.
And TNL with this advancement, I know a lot of people are looking at this and saying, well, Dignitas was defeated, but it was a very close series, and if they rematch each other, if Dignitas wins the losers match, then I mean, definitely something we could see in Naventic versus Dignitas. I think Dignitas probably favored there, so they could have that second chance to beat TNL in the final match. Looking at what's going on in Group A, Edward Gaming did defeat Cloud9, so what was going on the other stream.
So that must have been a 2-1 because I saw it was 1-1 last. You can watch those games later if you haven't seen them yet. They're really worth it. I'm not going to spoil it, but the second game was amazing. Edward Gaming advancing, and right behind us we're actually seeing on the other stream E-Star Gaming with a 1-0 lead over My Insanity, and also looking to be leading the next.
Yeah, they have a keep down, it looks like, as well as a 1-level lead at 17-16. But at Group B, taking this out, MVP Black did defeat Naventic 2-0. TNL, of course, taking out Dignitas 2-1. You guys just saw it. So a Korea finals in Group B.
And it also means that there'll be guaranteed 1 Korean team in the top 4 of this tournament tomorrow.
That's true. Very true. I didn't even think about that. So yeah, 1 Korean team is going to the semifinals no matter what.
And this is a matchup that has happened a lot over the previous 2 to 3 months. Of course, TNL famously defeated MVP Black in BlizzCon with a 4-2 score in the finals, which meant that they were the Korean representative. And you know what? in Korea, when you are the sole representative of your country, you're expected to win.
Yeah, that's how it is in esports for the beginning of time, right?
That's the amount of pride, like the national pride that is dominant here in this culture, right?
I mean, ever since StarCraft 1 and WCG, it's like every Korean that goes has to win, and they always do. They like almost never fail, right? In StarCraft 2, the same thing is true. Now we're moving into Heroes, and TNL failed, but